hear me because my thing wasn't on. If you guys can hear me and see me now, go ahead, give me that one. If you can't hear me, you can't see me, go ahead, give me that two. I know I have some no sounds because my mic wasn't on. Boop, 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 boop. But it's on now, and I see some ones coming through. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's some crazy stuff. It seems like every time I get ready to go live, especially when I'm about to say something about TLC, all of a sudden I have all kinds of technical issues. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, we here. We gonna talk about it. Can't stop us. Can't stop us. There's no stopping this train. There's only one thing, one of two things you can do. You can either get on for the ride or you can get run over. So we're going to proceed, as it were, and move forward, guys. I mean, this is something that it seems like almost every season I have this kind of conversation because especially it's not even so much every season. It's like the airing of every one of TLC's most recent shows. It seems like I have this conversation because this is one of the things that earnestly bothers me just because of the fact that they have when people miss out on their opportunities and you're working and striving and trying to get those opportunities, it's very difficult for you to watch people squander what they already have. Now, I'm not criticizing TLC for the work that they did as far as bringing a lot of these shows to the forefront, a lot of the discussions that people were having surrounding some of the issues and topics and shows that they brought out. And I think that there was a strong point or a strong argument that you could make that historically TLC was instrumental in moving forward the acceptance and at least the acknowledgement of alternative lifestyles. And by alternative lifestyles, I'm just talking about people not necessarily seeing the world in like a two-dimensional thing where they just see like, man marries woman, woman has baby, that kind of thing. And instead, it opened up the possibilities of not new things that people could try and new fads and new stuff that, whoa, this is brand new. It just talked about things that were already going on. The Brown family isn't the first family to ever enter into polygamy, even though they're probably the first family that we as mainstream America have seen on TV and maybe even around the world. But they're by no means like this has been going on. Like this, these folks is deep. So, they out there warring like the Bloods and Crips, like the Hatfields and McCoys. It's so deep. Like they broke up and split up, and they warring factions with each other all over polygamy. Who gonna get the magic purse? But this is that point where you look at TLC, a show like TLC, even 90 Day Fiance, where they talked about the fiance visas and how those are attained and what goes into it. Now, the one thing that I've always criticized TLC about is that even though they brought a lot of these shows to the forefront, right? I've always held that the way that they present it, even though they're introducing folks to a new topic, a new concept, a new way of being, a new way of living, the way they present it and with the people that they select, you can't help but to think that whatever these people are doing, I don't want no parts of it because it's nothing but folly. Whatever it is that they're doing, I don't want to do that. Especially as we watch the Brown family tragedy. I won't even call it the drama. It's really a tragedy. Like, because we had a really deep conversation during the members members only live that I did last week, and we got into a little bit of the book. Now I'm going to do the book on this show. I'm going to review it and even talking it over with Brittany, not Brittany, the Mega Mod in the house. She's already either started the book or she's completed the book, and she's given some pointers about like what the book is about, like what telling everybody. And I'm pushing this too because I think that we have to manage our expectations. And last time I said that, folks got mad at me about like Christine and them. That Cody going to jail. Christine gonna sue him for child support. He going to jail because he messed around, sold his house, because some other content creator said that. And I'm saying, no, he's not going to jail. Nothing's going to happen to him because he bought a house. He sold his last house. He bought a new house. No, you wrong. Who you to tell us to manage our expectations? Last time I checked, he's not in jail. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I want to be honest. I'm going to give you my straight up opinion of what I think is going on. And I'm saying, like, when it comes to this book, I don't get the feeling, and I never had the feeling that Christine is turning this book into a barn burner. Like, this is not the bridge burner that we all wish it was. And I'm going to put myself in that category. Like, I wish that she came out and she told a raw dog, honest truth about everything. What was going on, what it was like to be married to him, what it was like to be part of the church, how those influences affected her decision-making, why she didn't leave, why she stuck around for so long, what tied her into this particular man, into this particular marriage, even when things were turning out the way that in an unfortunate way. Now, one of the things that we had talked about during the course of the conversation was something that, you know, it really, like, even to right now, we had this conversation on Friday, and it still bothers me. And that's the like, we all started joking around about, like, Christine had said in the book, apparently, allegedly, that Cody wasn't very romantic with the first time that they actually got into it, you know. And there's a point where she said that, you know, it was beyond, like, from my understanding, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the impression I got is that Christine was relaying to the reader that the experience was beyond uncomfortable. Okay. And of course, we all joke around about it, like, you know, him not getting the road ready because he's not used to it. You know, I even cracked a joke about, like, you know, you know, because apparently he jumped right into it, like he didn't do any type of preparation for it. And I say, you know, when you come to somebody's house, you knock on the door first and wait for them to invite you in. Like, that's pretty much the approach that young men have to learn, especially when they're dealing with young ladies and especially in their first couple experiences. And, you know, we laughed and we chuckled about how terrible he is, which, to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised. Like, that didn't surprise me that he would be a selfish lover. But the one thing that bothered me, and I'm going to say it here, the one thing that bothered me about that particular passage, and then we'll get into the what I put in the thumbnail and all that. But the one thing that bothered me about that particular passage was the level of contempt that Cody had entering into this marriage. The level of contempt that he had entering into this marriage, and why that's important. Because during this type of experience, and granted, you know, you can tell by my facial accoutrements that it's been a long time for me to, you know, it's been a long time for me, period, like with you know, first for people, but it's been a long time since that prospect of deflowering somebody was even a question. If we, well, and that's as far as I'll take it, right? But what I do know from talking with young ladies who are my friends and people, it is uncomfortable the first time. Not unbearable, but it's uncomfortable, right? And Christine, as animated as she is, it's very difficult for me to think that, one, she wasn't outwardly expressing how uncomfortable this was, to the point where it downright hurts, right? And in addition to that, two, there's just something like, you know, if you get hit, you're gonna, you know, you scream. Somebody run your foot over, step on your toes, whether you mean to or not. Like, if you at a party and a little kid riding around on a tricycle and he runs over your foot, you're not gonna go, oh, I don't want to hurt the little fella's feelings. You're gonna yell out, son of a bitch. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Don't yell at Tony. He a little crying. He upset. He ain't mean to do it. Don't matter whether he meant to do it. My foot hurts, right? He ran my toes over. I'm sorry, Tony. I ain't mean to startle you, baby, but you crushed my corns. Like, you know what I mean? Like you crushing my bunions, whatever. And in this particular case, I can see that being a thing where if she's letting him know, ow, 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 this is hurting, and he not only continues on, but especially if he continues on with any type of vigor, right? Then that leads to an entirely different conversation, because there is a point where you look at that, and based on like maybe how she was brought up, she was raised, her education, the society from which she was a part of, the community that she, heralded as home, all this plays clearly a factor. But, this is one of them points where I don't want to be that guy to say this, especially to a young lady, but girlfriend, you might have been SA, girl. Like, this had that feeling to me. Like, it's and I just can't shake it. I don't want to, again, I don't want to accuse Cody of something he didn't do, and I don't want to put words into Christine's mouth, but just the way it was presented to me, that sounds like, you're assaulting her, because as we know, that crime isn't associated with sex and sexuality or intimacy. That's a crime of power and violence. And if this guy, who's broke as a joke, one wife down, got two wives down because he already had Mary and Janelle. Then he's looking at the precipice of bringing in Christine into his family. And he sits there and says nasty stuff about her, about how she looks, how she eats, what he thought about her. I thought she was piggish. I thought she was disgusted and she was eating nachos. And, she gets on my nerves and she's always complaining. And then he gets to the wedding day, the day that he didn't even call out of work for. And he's standing there drifting. And he said, in his own words, I was 3 miles away. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was sitting there looking out into space. And then he had to get up and go to work the next damn day. Right? Because he put that much influence, that much thought into spending time with Christine. And then for her to express to him that she, like, because this is supposed to be somebody that you care about. And you're telling me that you care so little about her that she says, this is your special moment. You guys have been waiting. You've been looking to get into this. You've been waiting. And you're about to jump into that, that special moment. And she says, ow. And the problem is that how you start is how you finish. I'm being honest, if you do it if you start the wrong way, it's not going to get better. She's not going to ease into it and start to like. It's going to be bad the whole time. It'll be a horrible experience for her, and that's a shame to me. Right? Something like that should not be a bad experience, especially with somebody you committed your life to. I mean, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life doing this. This is ridiculous. And could you imagine, like, I said this on Friday, like, this is your first time doing this, and you've been hearing, like, I think Christine was like in her 20s when she got married. So you've been hearing the whole time, somebody talk about it, like, man, it's the best thing in the world. And you got your parents and everybody else always constantly warning you about not doing it. It must be awesome if everybody telling you don't do it. Nobody had to tell me not to stick my hand into it, like dip it into peanut butter and then walk over to a pit bull and slap the shit out of him and put my hand out. Nobody had to tell me that. And definitely nobody had to tell me twice, 3, 4, 5 times and threaten me when I I'm walking with a jar of peanut butter. Somebody jump out the corner. Don't put your hand in that peanut butter and slap shit out of that pit bull. Something gonna happen to your fingers. Like, nobody had to do that, right? Because it's unpleasant. But if it's something that everybody who is warning you and telling you, it's so crazy that this, in my analogy, that would be like somebody saying you can't be in a room alone with peanut butter because it's too tempting. And you go put your fingers in it. Wow, oops. Oops. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. We did that. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the comedy just comes to itself. But you can't be at that point, And this goes beyond, him just being a jerk or him being an asshole, right? To do something like that takes you I don't want to be like criminal, but that is like beyond. That is way out of field. That's way out of line. So yeah, you caught that, but don't put your fingers there. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like you spend all that time fantasizing about it, you have these urges to do it, and it must be powerful, must be amazing. This thing that has sent countries to war, people going to war, they're like cemetery and penitentiary full of people caught up in this because the awesomeness of this. And then you wait and you dream and you imagine and you get excited because you're about to get married and you're about to experience this with a person that you care about. And he's so awesome and he's amazing. And he gets you in there and do that to you. That's a damn crime. You ought to be put in the prison for that, bro. Talk about lowered expectations. Ugh, like, what the shit? This is terrible. Who does this? People pay for this? You understand what I mean? People are paying for this. Why would you do that? I don't understand. And that just goes like, and this is one of the many layers of things that I thought about as I was talking about this particular issue in the book on Friday, which we will be covering. But like another thing that kind of popped into my head, and then we'll get into the stuff I put on the thumbnail about TLC and how they're leading themselves to ruination. But one of the other things that really bothered me, it kind of stuck with me, and it really kind of put tread on that tire for me as I was thinking about what was going on, is the one statement Cody made with regard to Robin coming into the family within the first 2 episodes, right? It was the second episode. I believe it was the second episode where he was sitting out. He was talking about Robin coming into the family. And he said, well, because Robin was saying, I don't want to, supposedly, she was saying, I don't want to hurt nobody coming into the family. And he said, well, that's inevitable. That's going to happen. You're going to have to just get over it. That's part of it. They're going to not like it. And the sad part is that when he said that, I immediately, like when I heard about Christine's experience, I immediately took that comment that he made and transposed it on top of what I had heard Christine say about her experience. That, oh, well, she's just, that's part of it. It's going to be uncomfortable for you because it's your first time. Oh, well. And the worst part is, like we said, I can see him trying to tell her what it's about, like trying to explain to her how she's not hurt and then she going to like it. Just let it happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like that shit you hear in prison. I like you. I want you. I like you. And I'm going to have you. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Just let it happen. You know what I mean? That's not what a loving husband. You know what? I said this on Friday. Like it goes beyond just loving husband or boyfriend or lover or whatever the case may be. That's something that one human being should never do to another human being. Period. That's something that one person should never do that to another person. Period. And you know what I mean? But like I said, we're gonna he was in a rush. He had a lot of stuff to do. The guy with 3 wives. I guess, and here's something jacked up, but I don't give a shit. So we just gonna say it anyway. But here's something jacked up. It just occurred to me, like, because I remember early on, they all had a rule, like, what one thing we're not going to talk about is what happens in the bedroom. And at first I thought it was cute. Maybe it was just something that they were saying because we're trying to be shy, trying to be modest. We're not trying to put our business out there in the street. And I get that, like, being a married dude, like, I don't talk about what I do in the boudoir either. You know what I mean? What me and my wife do either. So I get that. But I also understand that Cody, as much as he's trying to talk about it now and how he, like I saw the whole honeymoon video advice he was giving for the honeymoon, and the picture that he took with Robin is plastered all over the side of the wall. Clearly, you don't give a shit about what people think about your sex and sexuality. So he probably told him, I don't want to talk about it because I don't need nobody knowing how bad I am at it. You understand what I mean? Like, if you terrible, if you suck at this, that you probably don't want people to know. You probably don't want people to ask questions. You damn sure don't want somebody to say, well, dude, how in the world do you satisfy 4 women? And that's when Cody looks back and say, I don't. Nobody is satisfied but me. All these kids running around, that's just receipts that I finished. Okay, that has nothing to do with their enjoyment. These children running around, yep, that was me, 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 right? But that doesn't have nothing to do with whether she liked it or not. That don't prove that she walked out of there with a smile. She might have just walked out of there with a fifth of Jack in disappointment. You understand what I mean? Another one. This dude, he wearing my life down 2 minutes at a time, Lord. 2 minutes at a time. This is ridiculous. What are we doing? So I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just something that stuck with me about that conversation we had. But guys, let's get into it. Hopefully everybody's having an awesome night. Well, we had a super chat come in too. Let me check that first. Boo boo boo. Just got a bunch of space and no room. How about that? That's crazy. Here we go. Oh, we had a super chat from Betty Aldridge. $20 super chat. How long can he hold it? Christine will have to accept she has invited a third party into her new marriage, i.e. the show, and long term it's not really feasible. Cracks will form and you will create your hurt. You'll create your heart. I guess your hurt at home. Your hearth and home. Okay. I just totally screwed that up. That's a well-written sentence, by the way. Cracks will form and you will create your hearth and home. And that's kind of the thing. Like, I 100% agree. Thank you so much, Betty. And I agree with that point too. Like, when you bring people into your relationship, and you know what? And let's be honest, you don't have to be a reality star to understand this. You understand this if you have a marriage or any kind of committed relationship. Bringing in third people, third and fourth people and third and fourth parties to come in and have conversations about what's going on with you and your significant other is only going to lead to destruction. If you're sitting around and you're trying to figure out where to go on vacation, and say she wants to go to the beach and he wants to go to the mountains. She wants to get, she want to go on a cruise. He want to go up and, trek through the woods with no cell phone coverage or whatever. That's fun to me. Sitting there getting dirty all weekend, right? That's the conversations you guys have between the two of you. Now, understand that I know that people say like marriages are built on compromise. There is no compromise in that. Either you're going to go to the mountains or you're going to the beach, right? One of you is going to not get what you want. And you could make what we could do is we could go to Boston, then neither one of you get what you want. Come on. So somebody's going to have to give it in. But if you have his friends jump in there and they start saying, come on, Barbara, you got to let him go to the mountains. It's been a long time. He's mountain man. That's Mountain Man Jim. You got to let him go to the mountains. That's where, they feels at home and getting the rugged woods and shit. It ain't nothing like waking up at 4 a.m. in the dark and having to go take a piss behind a bush and you're not sure what's behind the bush. Like, you're not alone. We are not alone. I am here with you. Like, you know what I mean? There's a big ass grizzly bear standing behind you. And then you running out of the woods with the damn, pants around your ankles, talking about somebody need to put up signs. This is ridiculous that there's grizzly bears out here. And at that point, I hope I'm present. I hope I'm around, because I will clearly say they have put up signs, asshole. God put up signs. You know what it is? It's called trees. When you standing there in a bunch of trees, you look to your left, you look to your right, and you see a whole damn tree line, there's shit living in there. Okay, bears and stuff that'll bite you, strangle you, all kinds of craziness lives in them woods. And if you don't want to, you don't want to get bit, chased, or whatever, don't go in there. Signs have already been provided. It's just not in English. Like, he didn't get out a tablet and be like, don't go into the woods unless you plan on outrunning a bear. You got your friend with you, you can trip his ass. You know what I mean? So that's not going to work out, because that also makes the wife, when she's encountering this dude coming at her saying, what you need to do is what you need to do, what you need to do is back the hell up and mind your own business. This is between me and them. It's not between all of us, right? Especially when there's money, slash finances, when there's kids. Like you talking to your kids and you tell your kids get in the car. And then somebody come to you and be like, you tell your kids get in the car, we going home. And one of your wife's friends say, oh shit, they ain't gotta get in the car. They could stay. They could stay. Who you talking to? In case you didn't know, these are mine. I'm responsible for these. So when I say get in the car, the next couple seconds, I expect to hear the door closing behind them getting in the damn car. This is not a conversation or a discussion, lady. Right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because fucking around with me and my babies is bad for your health. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's where it is. So anybody coming into your relationship. Now, when it comes to reality shows, baby, the problem with reality shows is that you'll have a disagreement, right? So you have a disagreement and you shoot your show in 2025. Have your disagreement, big blowout fight, arguing, you threatening to leave, you threatening to break up, somebody did something crazy, it's off the hook, right? You have your argument, blah, 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 like you son of a bitch, blah, 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 that's why your mama ain't nothing, blah, blah, blah. You go crazy, right? Then they film it. You guys get past it, you work it out, however you work it out, work your way through it. Then in 26, they air it. So now you get to watch the full argument. And the crazy part is, not only do you get to watch the argument back and those feelings from the arguments, because you know why you were mad. And you know what you said, you know what they said. But not only do you get to see that in live and living color in replay, but you get to watch this some of them so sit there and talk shit about you on the couch. Oh, let me tell you about this one. They ain't nothing. That's why I don't like her, because when she take her shoes off, her feet stink. Blah, blah, blah. You said a whole bunch of stuff during a confessional that you didn't say, which almost broke your relationship up. You were at that point. She didn't know nothing about what you said on the couch about her funky ass feet, right? But then you get on the thing and you start talking about funky ass feet, singing songs, make it funky, playing James Brown, right? She didn't know nothing about that. So now in 2026, when she sees that, you're not only arguing about what you were arguing about before, but now you're arguing about, you want to talk slick. Oh, you had a lot to say. Now you sitting there, Mr. Hushmouth. Go ahead and say what you were saying. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. Say it to my face. Don't be shy. You know what I mean? You got to deal with that. Then you're going to have people who watch you on YouTube, and we're going to spend the next 5 years talking about how you did that dumb shit and all the craziness you were saying. Yeah, call her fucking feet. Now every time I see her walking around, she got on open-toe shoes. What's that about? You know, must have stuck. Sometimes you dig it in deep, you twist it and you break it off. Like, that's where she is. She's stuck. So yeah, these reality shows, they can cost you your marriage. Like, you fight about something in 25 and you might not get divorced for that thing till like 2030. And even then it'll be like, full blaze. So, oh man. So, yeah, I agree. Like this, because then you have all your stuff on repeat. And sometimes, I heard a fun fact, like a weird thing. Someone had told me a while ago. I read it. Actually, I read it somewhere a while ago. That theoretically, the way your brain works, I don't know how true this is. It's kind of cute to say, but I don't know how true it is. Every time the way your brain supposedly works is that when you remember a fact, you have the memory, right? And when you remember it, you recall it and you retell it, you wipe that memory and replace it with a new memory. So when you remember something over and over again, you're actually not remembering the actual event. You're remembering like almost a carbon copy of said event that has been altered through time, which also explains I think this might be where it generates from, but it also would explain why people have such distinctly different memories of the same event, because you done written it, you done erased it and written it so many times. You know, uh, I watched Love After Lockup just the other day with my wife, and they had this young lady. She jumped in this one girl's face, and she said, "You've been messing with my man. Come on, let's go." And the woman was like, "Look, I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to talk to you." And she's trying to walk to her car. And the girl, young minded, she jumping on face. Now, keep in mind, when she walked up, the young lady who was accusing this girl of sleeping with her man and getting pregnant, and they had a unfortunate miscarriage with a baby. She jumps in her face. She show up. She has long blonde hair. All her hair is out. It's like banging the back of her ass, right? She walking down, glasses on, white pants, and I'm not sure what kind of footwear she had on. I think she had on sandals. She walking up on this girl, big girl, solid, sturdy girl. She got her hair. She got a t-shirt on, pair of jeans. She have her hair up in a bun, tight to her head, and she got on a pair of sneakers. And the young lady walk up, she talk popping off. "You messing with my man? You leave my man alone. You leave my man alone." Girl, look, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because obviously you don't want to talk to me. She's like, "I had some things to tell you, but I'm not gonna tell you now because you're acting childish." So she gets up, she starts walking. Young lady jump in front of her. "You ain't going nowhere." And she said, "Excuse me, could you get out of my way?" And she went to step around her. That's when the young girl, hair totally out, slaps her. Pow! Right? Gave her a skippity pap right across the face. Skippity pap! Girlfriend immediately reaches out, grabs a fistful of that hair, does the one, does the Cleveland pulled her down to, like, you know what I mean? Down there to Cincinnati, and started giving her them Brownsville bombers, like, bow, bow, bow. Tore her ass up. And the security guard jumped in there trying to stop it. Old girl fell on the floor. She go to get up. She got to get up off the ground, right? This woman beat her to the ground, right? She had to get up off the ground and just do the threatening. Whatever. I just want to ask you a question. Girlfriend get in the car. She drive home. She lock her door. "Oh, now you got to lock your door." This is the girl that just got up off the ground. "Now you got to lock your door because you afraid of me." Right? She like, "Whatever. I don't want no problems because I've been on dog walk this chick on concrete." I'm like, "Yeah, probably. And I knew that when she walked up. She pull up, right? She pull off. That's when homegirl, hair still flowing. White pants. Now pants ain't white no more. Her knees and shit dirty because she got drugged. Like she got, she wasn't ready. And that's the thing. Like old saying from when I was a kid. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. If you roll up to a argument or a dispute, you gotta be ready to go. There ain't no hold up, yo. Let me get my stuff off. Let me take my jewels off. Let me get my shirt off. Oh, let me fold this up. Like, there ain't no room for you to fold your shit up, put it in a pile. It's time to go. Right? She ain't know this. But she called her boyfriend up on the phone and she tell him, "Yeah, I just met with your girl. I had to beat her ass." Like, what? So that was an instance where I was like, "Oh, she got mind erased. She got her mind totally erased because that's not what they caught on tape. You was getting up off the ground." And when I say she was getting off the ground, I mean that like the girl was like pushed her down. I mean, she beat her ass down. She was on her back. You know what I mean? I was like, thank goodness she didn't go out. And thank goodness for bodyguards and a security detail because they earned that money that day. Because homegirl was like, she was not there to play. And I knew she, like, you ever see some dumb shit? It's almost like a chihuahua messing with a pit bull. Like, yeah, you doing a lot of barking, but if that pit bull get mad, it's gonna be a crime scene out this joint. Like, that's how I felt when she was walking up. Like, you are not ready for this. This is adult business. Like, you on that play shit. You need to just calm down. And you think you go. And then when she slapped her, she didn't slap her, and it like that led into the conflict. She slapped her and tried to walk away. You can't slap somebody and walk away. I don't know who raised you. Where did you grow up? You put your hands on somebody, you better be. You should have already been ready. Your shit should have been tied up like hers. You should have had on some clothes. If it's not tight, like fit it, so that they can't grip it or grab it or roll their hand up in it. You know what I mean? What are you doing? You definitely want to have some good footwear on, because you're gonna be out there, you're gonna be struggling. But let me give Betty a little something. Give Betty a little something special. Yeah, but that's what I'm just saying. And I'm not even like, oh, okay. But to me, that's an example like somebody getting their mind erased. And when you get your mind erased and you try to remember things, sometimes you remember things in a way that allows you to continue a relationship. Just to finish that point, you remember things to allow you to finish that relationship or continue with that relationship. When you have it on tape, you can't change it or alter it or make it something else because everybody watched it happen. It's on tape. So, like, if Cody came back and was like, "Oh, when I said to Isabel that she could go to New Jersey by herself, I didn't mean it." It doesn't matter whether you meant it; just said it, and you can see it hurt your daughter's feelings, and that's what makes you an asshole. So, there's that. But yeah, let me let me jump into the my little soliloquy. Thank you very much, Betty. Appreciate you. So as we talk about it, like some of the things that we'll have to think about as we consider like the future of this show, right? One is why Sister Wives once worked when it first came out. Like when it first arrived, Sister Wives was the phenom. Like they had them on Oprah. They had them on Good Morning America, the Today Show. Like they were traveling places. Like they went from Utah to New York, California, Chicago. Like they were on planes, staying up in hotels because the shows were putting them up in these things. Back when who had a show? I forget her name. She's on The View now. She had a show. She was talking to Cody and them, right? And it was just that popular. It was a phenom. Like the show was out there and it was doing it, right? And we have to put it all in the context because I think, again, this is something I said before. The timeline matters. Okay, when we talk about when things happen and how they happen and how things worked, the timeline matters. This all happened in the early 2010s that this show came out. This is on the tail end of the very popular HBO. I would call it like it was a hit show, but it was kind of a sleeper hit, like because it wasn't like a mainstream hit because it was on cable. But Big Love was on, and then the fans of Big Love, somebody came up with the idea on TLC. Let's cash in on the fans of Big Love, and by doing a reality show with polygamists, and that's when they reached out to Christine's group to try to inquire about this. So the time was like 2010, one man, 4 wives. This was shocking and groundbreaking at the time. And this is back in the day when TLC meant the Learning Channel. Okay. That's when they were trying to present different life and lifestyles, choices and alternative lifestyles to people in mainstream America because we were so boxed in. This is also a time when you have to keep in mind that we were still, even though the internet was around and, it was growing in popularity, the internet at that time was nowhere near as pervasive as it is now. Like, so a lot of the information and things that we would get and the entertainment that we would watch was very much filtered. It was very much filtered. Like if you wanted to see something that was a little out of pace with normal America, you would have to seek it out. Like you would have to find it. and it would usually maybe in a movie or something like that. And it would only be a scene of a movie. They wouldn't be like a whole production team of like people making, sister wife type content or alternative lifestyle content. And if they did, it was kind of swept under the rug, and it would never make like a HBO or Stars or was it Prism or like calling out companies that don't exist anymore. Um, and those things. But when you watch Sister Wives, part of what made it so popular was wasn't just the fact that it was shocking and groundbreaking, but in fact, it was a built-in spectacle. Even like the mundane activities that they would perform seemed fascinating, you know, because they were done by polygamists. Like, we're gonna go down and travel to another place, and we're gonna ride because we're poors. We're gonna drive, and we riding around on cars is basically riding dirty, because that's something that nobody has ever said. I won't be the first to say it. There's no way in the world. And well, let me check before I go. Before I go too far. Let me ask just a simple question, because I'm looking at it from where I'm at in the states I'm familiar with. Uh, Hold on one second. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Okay. All right. See, because I was gonna say, yeah, where I'm from in the states that I'm familiar with, they have safety inspections on cars every year. So you get the little sticker on your car, safety inspections. Depending on what state you're in, you get an emissions sticker as well. Uh, and I'm telling you, part of the reason why you do that is really because that way, like garages and places like that, insurance companies and all that, they can make sure that you pay an exorbitant amount of money each year. So basically, companies that give you the inspections each year for like reduced money. So instead of them charging like $125, like, we'll do the inspection for $45.99. You go in there, take your car in for inspection. All of a sudden, your car need brakes, tires, and need to get the motor overhauled. It's got all kinds of problems. Like, they give you a laundry list of shit that you got to do for your car. Me, back in it, like I would say, most recently, up until most recently, I had a secret plan. I would take the car in, get it inspected, and they would give me a list, and I would just take the list and go do the list myself. I would, thank you very much. Okay, and I would bring it back, all new parts. There you go. I would make out cheaper because I could fix the cars, I could work on the cars, and by the time I get done, I could take a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 job, and I could do it for a couple $100, because all I'm doing is buying the parts, you know. Uh, but in Utah, apparently, they don't have a safety requirement, or at least require standard safety inspection for their vehicles, which is crazy to me. That's how you had them out there on them baloney skin ass tires driving up freaking mountains, which is ridiculous. I don't even drive up a mountain. And I have to have my tires, all four of my tires have to be in good repair with good tread. They're out there riding around on like baloney skin tires. That damn truck, that Suburban they had like a spittle of oil in it, in the motor. That's why the motor blew up, because they didn't have any oil in that bad boy. Talking about they seized the motor up. Like, that guy talking about, oh, I'm gonna do it for $5,000. I'm telling you, for that vehicle, that's cheap. Or he was gonna give them like a blow 'em up motor. So he give them like a car, give them a motor that they could drive down the street, and that bad boy blow the hell up, drop out the car, and then they had to bring the fucking huss back. Pardon my French. But that's kind of where it was. So we got to watch the built-in spectacle, and they could do like little cute stuff or little same stuff. Like, this is what it's like when I take my wife on a honeymoon and we go out to dinner, and you would sit there and watch them eat dinner. Or this is what it's like for us to go out shopping for cookies and cakes, and we'd sit there and watch them eat a plate of cookies. And wow, there's different because they're polygamists, and I didn't know polygamists love cookies. Everybody loves cookies. They're cookies, especially chocolate chip. Everybody loves cookies, right? But we were all in awe and fascinated by it because it was new, it was different, and we weren't really exposed to a whole lot, especially in mainstream America. And I think that part of it is, even if we were aware of people who live these alternative lifestyles, at the end of the day, it was fascinating because you had somebody on TV doing it. So I think that that was also built into part of the spectacle of Sister Wives when it first started. Here's where we are now. The shock factor is gone. The shock factor is gone. And the truth of the matter is that alternative lifestyles are commonplace in many of the outlets that we would watch. So you could watch, you know, gay couples and couples of plural couples. I remember I was watching was it SWAT, but with not the old time SWAT, not the bow ba bow now bow ba bow now. That was my shot, boy. But SWAT with Hondo, I'm about to say Shamar Moore, right? In that show, one of the characters wanted to be a part of a throuple. And the episode where it was because she stayed in the throuple for I think most of the season or the whole season. But she entered into a throuple. A throuple is basically she met a married couple, a guy who was married to a woman, had a wife. They were gonna they wanted to have a relationship with this other woman who was on the SWAT team. And so they all started a relationship. And basically, what it was they were all having relationships with each other. So it wasn't like just him being like, I'm Mr. Polygamy and I have two wives. It was he had a wife and he had a girlfriend. His wife had a husband and she had a girlfriend. And then the third who came in, she had a boyfriend and she had a girlfriend. And that's how they all kind of rolled. And when they entered into that, they presented that to the audience. They didn't even present it as this is a major issue in the show. This is like a milestone for this particular character. This is like the episode where we're going to talk all about it. No, it was just like it got almost to be honest with you, it got less fanfare, it got less screen time. That introduction of that particular type of lifestyle and coupling had less mention. It would have more notoriety, but less mention in the episode than the episode where one of the other male SWAT members met a woman and eventually married her. Right? I forgot dude was married. But they mentioned like you'll see her leaving her house with the throuple. She would kiss everybody, kiss her boyfriend, kiss her girlfriend. Goodbye. She would go to work. Then you see the other guy who was married. He would kiss his wife. Then you see the other guy who's married. He'd kiss his wife and go off to work. They'd have a little conversation about the kids. But that was it. The spectacle of it, I say all that to say this, the spectacle of like these alternative lifestyles and the shock value is gone. Like there is no more shock value. So it doesn't spark any inherent interest. And here's the thing with it too. Like the audience members who watch these shows, the fans of these shows, they don't require any additional time be spent on these type of relationships. Even to the point of, if we want to be honest, polygamy in and of itself, or plural marriages, or what do you call it, ethical non-monogamy, they aren't even at a point now where they're taboo on TV. There was a point where you couldn't even talk about this, you couldn't even speak of it, but we aren't at that point anymore. So the problem that you're also moving into when we recognize that the shock value is gone, the groundbreaking nature of this particular show has run its course, and you start to lose the value and interest in people watching this type of show. Now, I have some examples that I wanted to pull up. And one of my examples, as I was thinking about this particular topic, one of my examples was actually from my childhood. About to show my age. Star Wars. Okay. Star Wars, the A New Hope, the very first Star Wars. When that first Star Wars came out, groundbreaking. This is amazing. They out there with laser swords and laser pistols and spaceships and basically space warlocks. That's what the Jedi and Sith are. They basically space warlocks, right? Space sorcerers. And then you had Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. revolutionized, dare I say, Bruce Lee, the reason why he's the greatest martial artist of all time, revolutionized not only martial arts, but he revolutionized how you watch television, how they make movies, how those fight scenes and conflicts are presented on the screen. Before Bruce Lee, everybody was fist fighting. You have a guy, he punch a guy, and he punched the other guy back. By the time Bruce Lee comes in, everybody know kung fu. Like if you watch The Matrix, you watch any of the big shows or big movies, everybody knows some kind of martial art, mixed martial arts, Krav Maga, anything, Taekwondo, Judo, kickboxing. Everybody knows something, right? That goes beyond just using your two hands. Everybody is doing something different. And a lot of that, all of that really stems from the influence that Bruce Lee had on cinema. So right now, I'm just naming two major shows, major movies that were groundbreaking films at the time. Star Wars New Hope, Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, right? Groundbreaking. Bruce Lee's career was actually relatively short with the number of films that he actually put out. Here's the thing. If those movies debuted today, if those movies came out today, this weekend, coming to a theater near you, an unknown name guy named Bruce Lee starring in a movie called Enter the Dragon. Would people watch it? Would people watch Star Wars New Hope? That is an interesting show. It's so amazing. It's groundbreaking. But would people watch it today? Here's another little, I'll do a little story time. Story time. Here's the thing. There has to be a point where we have to recognize that sometimes these shows that we watch, it's more out of like our sense of, this is amazing because this is what I grew up with. That kind of familiarity. Because I remember when I was a kid, there was a show called Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Now, if you would have asked me up until maybe last year, or well, I guess it was 2019 because I watched it during the panorama, the pandemic. What was Buck Rogers? That show was amazing. It was groundbreaking. It was awesome. The guys was out there, guy from now, I guess not now, but he was like back in supposed to be like 2000. He was sent to the future. Now it's like 25 something or other, or 26 something or other, and they flying in space and they doing all this amazing stuff. And he's using his fighter skills, his dog fighting skills, taking these people to school. It's amazing. He's like the Top Gun of the future, right? Then I had an opportunity to go back and watch it. That fellas, ladies, don't ever go back and watch some of the old shows you used to watch. You will be sorely disappointed. First up, I didn't realize that Buck Rogers was only 2 seasons. That's the first thing, right? I could have swore that thing was like 5 or 6 seasons. Again, must be when you remember stuff, you rewrite your memories. You would have asked me, I'd have said, yeah, that thing for sure was like 5 seasons, 2 seasons. First season, and what was most notable to me, the first season, when Buck Rogers first came out, they were stationed here on Earth, and they would go all over space and stuff. It was cool. And Buck Rogers was underneath, like, in a chain of command. He was under this woman named Wilma. She was a commander, and she was in charge of basically the security of this space station or whatever, the Earth station or whatever. And so anything he wanted to do, she was his superior, right? Second season, they took Wilma, this strong woman who was like a pilot, and she was like an ace of her time. She was intelligent. She was high-ranking, powerful leader. And they basically turned her into a sex object. And what I found out later by doing a little research is I was like, that was a ridiculous switch. Like, she was like giddy. Like in the first season, she was brilliant. She was assertive. She was strong. She was powerful. Second season, I like that woman a lot more. I think she was way more attractive. Second season, she was basically a bimbo. And she was banging out Buck Rogers. And it got to a point where, and this is the 70s, it got to a point where, and this is something I didn't remember, where Wilma actually spent a little time with Buck Rogers and like 1 or 2 other dudes. Like, so I mean, I didn't catch it when I was a kid, but I sure as hell I caught it with both hands when I was an adult. Like, what the shit? Wilma's a freak. This is the this is the second one. Wilma and the three dudes who went in there. All of them freakdoms, right? But but you know, it's just that if you asked me to watch the show now, I went back and watched it. The show was, I don't want to say stupid, but it was bad. Like, it was bad. Like, there was a reason why I got canceled, right? And when I look at Star Wars and Enter the Dragon, as much reverence as I have for those films, when I show those films to my kids had to warm into like in Star Wars. They never really got into Enter the Dragon because there's so many other movies where the martial arts techniques have been perfected. They perfected, not perfected, but they've improved on how they film it, the angles that they film, the techniques that they use, the variants and techniques that they use. They've done that on the film now. And a lot of that influence comes from Bruce Lee, but now you see more of a developed product that they started with. Why do I say all that? That's a lot, James. Why are you saying all this? I say all that to say this. Sister Wives is in that same position. Sister Wives started out, they come out, you have one man, four wives. What do they do? We talked earlier about like the freaky deaky nature of everything. What do they do when the lights go out? How do they get down? Bingo, bango. These are all questions that we have. Now on TLC, not even on different networks, different shows. TLC, you have young people who are basically not only doing what Cody's doing, but taking it to the next level, right? They're showing you way more. And I've said this about TLC. TLC is soft prawn on some of their shows. It's soft prawn. If you don't understand prawn, just, play with the word a little bit. You'll get it. And because I didn't understand the first time I heard it. Well, prawn, why do they say like that? Soft corn. What? But corn. Ain't nobody eating. And succotash. So by the time you get done, like most of the shows now, that you have younger, more attractive people, and they're basically shooting to the very last moment of their intimate contact before it like goes. They have to put a rating on the show, and that's what they would be competing with. This is the equivalent of why look at a show where they show you, some of it, they suggest it, as opposed to them just showing you outright what it is. And that's kind of what Sister Wives is competing with. And so you have a lot of these issues that are going on. Then we get into the like the whole idea of, aside from it not being groundbreaking, them not having the shock value like they used to have when the first show first started, you also get into the point where there's been a tremendous content explosion. I'm talking about ridiculous content, ridiculous content coming out now. There's so many shows. There's so much TV. In 2010, they were competing with maybe a couple handful of reality shows at best. At best. In 2025, they're competing with hundreds of reality shows, from IRL streamers, YouTube, TikTok, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Amazon, Peacock, etc., etc., etc. Like, it's too many networks for me to name. Forget the shows and the content that comes from these networks, like the streaming stuff. Like, like, if you just think about it, like back in the day, shows were popular because like everybody watched Lost because there was three major television shows, three major television channels: ABC, NBC, CBS. Right? Then you get into like what would be the second tier category, which would be like Fox, WB used to be I think they were WB, and then what used to be UPN or Paramount. Now I think they're Paramount. Now, and then of course like the third tier would be like the informational channels, PBS, so and so. But even with that, you're looking at what, eight channels that people could watch, And maybe sometimes, depending on where you are, you might get like one or two. I think we got like one or two bonus channels that, if the wind blew right, you could maybe pick up reception from somewhere else, another county or another part of the state. The wind blew right. But then once they introduced cable, and at this time, cable was popular, and you had some of the channels like TLC, TNT, and think FX. But even then, like, okay, it wasn't crazy like it is now, where everybody has streaming. Like, let me ask you this, because I really believe this. Like, I know I do. Do you have shows and things that you put in your queue? Like, I have streaming. I cut the cable, I don't know how many years ago, like almost 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago. I cut the cable. I don't have cable television, right? And everything I have is like streaming now. And you're telling me that I am literally, without cable, I am drowning in content. I have shows that have been in my queue that I want to watch, movies and shows that have been in my queue to watch, shows I want to see for for so long that sometimes I'll go through and I'll be clicking and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot it. Oh man, I gotta watch that show. Okay, I'll get it next time. Click. You know what I mean? Like, they have so much content out there now. I am literally drowning in content. And so between like the endless queues, you know, the abundance of content, if they say one thing that you don't like, you can always go to something else. If the guy go too long, go to something else. You know, you don't like their hairstyle, you go to something else. You know, you could watch a show and this be your show. And you're like, I don't want to see what happens in the next episode. So you stop watching the show and go watch something else and forget all about the show you're watching. It's that much content. Whereas before, everybody pretty much watched the same thing. If you were into reality shows, you maybe had like 5 or 6 reality shows that you could watch, and you and like 5 or 6 of the people in your office or your school or wherever you were at the time could sit down and have a conversation about it. I could walk into a place right now and ask about Sister Wives, and there'd be a bunch of people who have never seen it. There's people right now. This is part of the reason why Special Forces, I think, is so important to Cody and even TLC, because there are people who have no idea who Cody Brown is. Just like there are people on that show, I have no idea who they are. I have no idea who they are. Or if I do know them, I may be seeing them like a couple times on their episodes of a couple episodes of their show and never even maybe even watched the full episodes. I'm thinking about Eva from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Teresa, I think I've seen like a show. My wife used to corner me into watching Housewives of Jersey early on, but I haven't seen Jersey in so long. It's crazy, you know? So like there is just so much content. And the question is, with Sister Wives, as it is, even as it is now, could they come out this year in 2025 and break through all that noise and be as popular and as big as they are? Would people watch it? So these, like, it's just at that point where, you know, with all these options that people have and choices that people have, would they tolerate the rehashing of old fights? I don't think that that's enough to keep people interested. I don't think that's enough to keep people tied to the TV and not looking for something fresher or more interesting to watch. And I think that that's where part of this thing is leading. And when we step into like the whole question of spinoffs, I know I've been calling for spinoffs. I think a lot of folks have been like looking forward to like the family, because it just, the show itself doesn't work anymore. So they need to have a spinoff as far as I'm concerned. But the problem with spinoffs and why the spinoffs from this show most likely won't make it. Robin's family, you know, watching Robin's family run around and try to, you know, police and produce their own storylines and stuff. That shit doesn't have a chance in hell. It has a snowball's chance in hell. You understand what I mean? It will not survive. Christine and Janelle, like, they're living independently. It's an inspiring personal story that they were able to survive the polygamous experience. But it's not necessarily TV gold, especially in an oversaturated market. Uh, and I don't want to pick on Christine and Janelle, but the truth of the matter is that without understanding their history, in other words, without watching Sister Wives from season 1 to season 19 and seeing these ladies be involved in a relationship with a dude who is mistreating them, not taking care of them, they're involved with these horrible relationships, and then to watch them grow, develop, and blossom and mature out of that relationship. I don't know, without you going back and watching that entire history so you can appreciate the final product. I don't know if there's enough meat on the bones to create a buzz about whatever it is they'll be doing. And that's part of the problem, I think. Like there's that like we have a sense of familiarity with them that I don't know would it survive the more demanding and the more demanding and more critical eye of new people. Like as people are coming in, their attention spans are much shorter. They're not given a whole lot of chance for these new type shows. So if I don't understand why are you mad at your ex? And this is what I was saying about Cody, where Cody might actually have somewhat of an advantage if I thought his stuff was going to take off. I don't think he's interested enough to be able to pull it off, but I think this is where he would hit problems. I think this is one of the places he would hit problems. Like Cody would have the advantage because he spent the last 3 seasons cleaning up his persona on screen by doing this. And at the end of this, I'll do like what we talked about on Friday, because I think that's also important. That feeds into like the whole Cody experiment. At this point, I think TLC is betting on nostalgia, right? Because that's the same thing that tapped me into like Buck Rogers, same thing that holds me to Star Wars, the same thing that holds me to Enter the Dragon. Like the reality of it is that I'm holding on to that sense of nostalgia, how I felt when I first saw this source of media. When I first watched Star Wars, Enter the Dragon, or Buck Rogers, I was young. I was young when I first watched it. And I thought it was amazing. Oh, this is so amazing. But as you get older and as you've been exposed to more things, especially this generation, the stuff that they're exposed to, like you show them movies. Back in the day, we had movies like Police Academy and Porky's and stuff like that. And these like PG-13 movies, or I think it was before PG movies and R movies. And these are like older movies, and they would have like the nude scenes or whatever. And everybody, oh my gosh, gotta go see this. It's incredible. It's so wild, it's so crazy, And people would line up and they would go watch these movies like 3-4 times so they could see like the 1 or 2 scenes where somebody was disrobed. These kids, these little hammers, the crumb crushers, these crumb snatchers, they are so used to that stuff. They wouldn't sit through that trash 5 minutes. This is terrible. This is horrible, because the storylines were usually disgustingly dumb. And the only draw they really had is that you're going to see somebody get naked in the movie, right? That was the only draw they had. And these kids now, they're so used to and accustomed to the information and the stuff that anything they want to see is at their fingertips. They don't have to go stand in line and watch, 2 minutes of not even 2 minutes, like a minute of somebody, surprise, they jump out the closet and somebody don't have a shirt on. Oh, right. These kids have seen all that. Like they're not impressed. They're not impressed. And much like the Sister Wives thing. Oh, I have 4 wives, and we grew up on a polygamous compound. Like, man, I got 6 girlfriends. My 5th baby mama is, you know what I mean? And this, I'm 15 and I'm on a show called Unexpected. Hey, you understand what I mean? Like we're so conditioned to it now. So I don't know if it will break through the noise. And that's part of the problem. Like a lot of what would draw us to watch this show is because we've been watching the show. And the reality of it is, and this is something that we have to kind of struggle with a little bit. If we think like producers, TV producers, not just as fans, but TV producers, as a TV producer, you always have to be getting new people. You always have to get new people to watch whatever product you put out. right? Because even if you have like the mainstay folks who love the content, if they're the only people who watch it, eventually they find other things to do. They get busy, they find other obsessions, and they leave. And if you're not bringing new people in to supplant those folks or add to those folks, then your show is going to wither. And that's kind of where Sister Wives, I think Sister Wives is. Like, I don't know if they have the juice to bring in additional people, bring in additional eyes, bring in new eyes. I don't know if they have enough storyline. And I don't know if it's going to be interesting enough. Like, just watching David and Christine go out to dinner and sit and have a conversation, that's not 45 minutes worth of television. Now, I might be interested. I might watch it, very well watch a season of that, but I'm not going to watch 4 or 5 seasons, must see TV. Season 25. Let's watch Cody and Robin have another discussion about sending Isabel off to college, or Dayton is going to school, or he's going to take Ariella down to get her ears pierced, like at 35. Like, it's just, I don't know. Here's my big picture takeaway, because we like to talk about the big picture. It's my big picture. Once the spectacle is gone, survival depends on new storytelling. And from what I see in every conversation we have, we're finding out that season 20 is merely going to be about rehashing and rediscussing old issues, resolving old issues, things that we've been watching for the last, what's the name? Coyote Pass has been 6 seasons. It's about 6 seasons running now. Season 15, 16. They moved to Arizona and bought Coyote Pass. 14, I think they were talking about. 14, I think they were talking about, or 15, they were talking about it. But in the next season, they moved there and bought it. And this has been going on. Actually, I think it must have been like 14. 14, maybe it was 14. And then 15, they were talking about moved. 16, that's when the cracks started happening. That's by the end of it. They were already sitting on Coyote Pass. And that's when Christine packed up Cody's shit by the end of season 16. 17, she left them. And then 18 was Janelle, and Janelle left, and Mary was hinted to have left. Then season 18 was, 19 was basically Mary leaving and them arguing about it. So, I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but there's nothing new that they're talking about. And if they're not talking about something new, or if somebody starts watching it, which is one of the challenges, when I was talking about, and think about, like, even from my experience, when I was talking about I wanted to review or react to 90 Day Fiance, part of the reason why I discontinued that, because nobody was really interested in watching it. And part of the reason why nobody was interested in watching it is because nobody wants to start off. Most of the people who are 90 Day Fiance, and again, this is one of the problems that I'm saying that I've observed in real time. One of the problems they have on 90 Day Fiance is that they have so many shows and so many people, and these, because they have so many different spinoffs and variances of 90 Day Fiance, and these people have been on all of these different variances before the 90 days, 90 days the other way, 90 day original, 90 day happily ever after, 90 day, 90 day, 90 day, and they're bouncing around all these things, right? Nobody felt comfortable, or at least in my experience. Maybe there's a group of people that I don't know about, but none of the people that I know who watched the show didn't feel comfortable watching all that content, so they would understand what's going on now. And because it's like, it's like walking into a movie halfway through the movie. I have no idea what's happening. Why is that guy mad? Why is she running out crying? What the hell's going on? Like, that's what the people feel like. And you're not going to pull anybody new that way. And yeah, it's great for the audience members and the fan base, because it's like having a secret amongst each other about what's going on. But it doesn't do anything for the network, and it doesn't do anything for the franchise. I know, like, a big thing that everybody says is that the superhero movies killed Hollywood, right? But if you look at the superhero movies, even when those movies first came out, what do? They reinvent, they talk about different things, they update certain concepts, they present it in a way that is more palatable and more understanding for people to just be able to come in and sit down and watch that movie and understand what's going on. They don't try to cover the history of this particular character or what their relationships are. They create new histories and new storylines. Now, the fans who've been collecting the comic books and following these characters, they're all pissed off. I don't understand why they got to do this. That's ridiculous. That's not what happened. Like, these are real people. It's crazy. I stepped into them worlds too. But those conversations are nuts. This ain't what happened. But they don't understand that at the end of the day, they had to make this a self-contained film where you could sit down and just watch this film and understand from beginning to end, and you have a start, middle, and end in the film. And you don't have to have a whole bunch of knowledge and understanding about what happened in this comic or that comic or this crossover, that crossover, right? And that's where TLC is kind of, jumping the shark, because so much of what they have, the content that they present, you have to have the backstory to understand why this thing is so important. This is an example that I will use, and I think I might close out on this. An example that I will use is simply this. Did you care about Robin's daughter going to get her ears pierced? I know I didn't. I mean, I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck. I didn't give a shit. I genuinely didn't care. I didn't care. It wasn't a thing. Oh my God, you get her ears done. Oh my goodness. Oh my, we gotta watch it now because it's gonna. I could care. Who cares? My daughter had her ears pierced when she was a baby. I'm gonna watch a grown ass woman go down with her parents to get her ears pierced. I don't care. She got baptized. Everybody I knew got baptized as a baby or a child. I mean, I've met people who've been baptized as adults, but they don't go and ask their parents permission to do it. Right? I don't care. I don't care. And it sounds cold and callous, but I'm just giving an honest answer or honest reply or honest statement. And part of the reason why I don't care is because I don't know enough about it. I don't know why I should care. Why should I care? There probably is. Maybe there's a deep ass reason as to why these things are important, and Robin and Cody understand it, and they just chose not to share it with us. But at the end of the day, because they chose not to share it with us, I don't care. That's your fault that I don't care, because you didn't give me a reason to care. I don't care. Okay, she got her hair done. I mean, it ain't like, it's not like you took her down to the church to get her baptized, and then you walked in, you saw the baptismal pool, and you said, that's where we're going to dunk you. And then she puts on her stuff and she gets in and she's like, what is that? And they say, gas. And they dump her in there and they pull out and they start throwing matches at her ass. And they say, if you conduct the flames of hell, you'll be invited into heaven. And they just start throwing matches. Okay. That would be like crazy TV. I'd be horrified, but I'll probably watch it. Like, what the shit is going on? I got to understand. And I'm definitely going to comment on it. But for her to go into a regular ass church, getting a regular baptism, it's important spiritually. It's important for you developmentally. It's great that she was baptized. Awesome for you. Something that you're passionate about. Awesome for you. But I don't necessarily need to see it. And to be honest with you, that is something, your relationship between you and your God is between you and your God. It's not between, it don't involve me. Again, don't get third parties involved with your relationships. You understand what I mean? So these are some of the things that I think they're struggling with. So with the spectacle gone, they have to start coming up with fresh stories. And the problem is, I don't know if they have fresh stories to tell. I don't know if they have anything else to say. It's just like, I remember going to see movies and like the movie ends, and I'm one of them the movie guys, movie nerds. I'll watch a film and then I'll watch the DVD extras and stuff, and I'll listen to interviews of them talking about the film and things, like, especially movies and stuff I like and how they were developed. And I was doing it for professional reasons as well. But one of the craziest things is they said, I remember, I forget which movie it was, but I remember it was the director and the writer. And they said, when we finished that first movie, it was a complete story. We said everything we had to say about the characters. He said, well, why did you come up with the sequel? He said, well, the sequel, we should have titled that The Quest for Money, because when we came out with that first one, it was so popular and it was such a success. The movie theaters and the movie production houses was throwing money at us They were throwing money at us for us to go out and make another film. And that's why you have a part two. And that's also part of the reason why part two sucks. Is because we weren't ever going to tell you a part two, because there was never going to be a part two, because the first movie was all in contained. And when I'm looking at Sister Wives, I think that the first iteration of Sister Wives might be all contained. Like that might be everything they have to say. And then everything else is just, we're going to try to milk it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. But yeah, I'm just trying to I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. I don't know if they're going to survive. Let's see. Oh, we had Michelle Page 4749 gifted one My Take on Reality membership. Thank you so much. Let's give Michelle a little something. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys thank Michelle. Amazing. Put some hearts in the chat for Michelle. Yeah. All right. Just real quick. What I was talking about the other day with regard to and I have to follow my wife's advice. Don't tell her I said that. She was right. My wife was right. Because I want to some of the lives, I want to start cutting them down so folks can actually see them. It'll be a little more manageable as opposed to like the 3-hour lives, super lives. Speaking of which, I might have to jet about a half hour, but I'm gonna open it up in a minute. But just real quick, yeah, I can't find my notes for it, but just to put things into context, because I think the timeline matters. When we talk about just real quick about special forces, when we talk about special forces and Cody doing special forces, I think that part of the reason why he's doing special forces has always been so he can start pulling in new people. We had always asked when we watched the shows in previous seasons, why is he so determined to tell lies about stuff that we have already watched and we know what he's saying is not true? Why did he start doing that, especially in the last 3 seasons? The reason why is because the timeline is important. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this. When we look at special forces, we just heard about special forces. But then I started asking myself, what, based off of information that I have, when did they cast this special forces? When did they shoot it? Special forces was shot in April of 2024. April of 2024. Why is that important? Because a couple things. One, in March of 2024, Big G's passed away. So within 30 days or less than 30 days, 30 days or less of Cody losing a son, he went to shoot special forces. I think that that's important. And my man, you could have took a sick day. You could have just begged off of that series or whatever because of loss or death in the family. Like you could have did that, chose not to. Whatever you need to do to survive. I'm just barely pointing that out. But we also have to keep in mind that Special Forces is not a show where they just pull people. Hey, you were on Dancing with the Stars. Would you like to do Special Forces? Hey, you played a little football. Would you like to do Special Forces? Hey, you're a reality star, which has nothing to do with any physicality or anything else. We know you can act a fool. We know you can yell at folks, and we know you can get upset for no damn reason. And you probably have zero training, but would you like to hang out of a helicopter? Like, that's not how it works. So there is a process to getting on these shows, especially because they do have contracts with other shows, which is part of the reason why I think that TLC was heavily involved, or at least considerably involved, with Cody getting cast for this show. Why do I say that? Because they have to get, in order for them to do this show, a couple things have to happen. One, they have physical requirements that they have to meet in order to do these shows. They have an opportunity to train with trainers from the show so that they can get into a considerable, or at least a reasonable set of physical condition, so that they can complete the task, or at least have hope to complete the task once they're on the show. Then you have uh, evaluations for mental and psychological evaluations, not necessarily to make sure that you're not crazy, or a narcissist. That's not what it's for. It's just to make sure that you're the kind of person that doesn't freeze up or panic under certain circumstances. Because as I explained on Friday, when you put somebody into these situations and they're extreme situations, so you have somebody in the ocean, you have somebody who like will jump out of a helicopter in the open water. Like I've seen that on this show. Or you have somebody climbing something, going like scaling across a ravine over ropes or whatever. You can't have that guy freeze, a guy, young lady, freeze out there on them ropes or get scared in that water or freeze up once they've done something, because then you have to send somebody out to get them or retrieve them, some one person or a team of people to go do that. And that increases the danger level to that particular activity almost tenfold. It becomes so much more dangerous for you to say, if you have a guy or a girl, Cody's out there on a rope and he's scaling across the ravine. Oh, that looks nasty. He's scaling across the ravine. Jeez Louise. He's scaling across the ravine. Put the fingers in it. But I mean, he's scaling across the ravine. And where's your mind at? And he gets stuck in the middle of the ravine. And you have to send some people out to try to coax him back or hook him up so that you can, knock him off the ropes and pull him up. That makes it so much more dangerous. You have a better chance of that rope snapping or some kind of failure or them falling, everybody falling, trying to save them. So they send them for those mental evaluations. They also have like the things, the rules when it comes to filming. Now, all of that, just the preparation portion of it, could take almost up to a year. So we asked the questions like back to like 2021, 2023, around that time. And this is if they rushed it, 2023, they rushed through everything, right? Why was Cody working out the way he was working out? Why was he insisting on doing a lot of gym stuff? Why was he, riding a bike in some of the episodes? You see him huffing and puffing on that bike. It is a very good possibility. The reason why he was doing all those things is because he was in training to get ready to film this show. So in knowing that he's filming this show and he's going to be on this show and he isn't going to tell anybody, he gets it upon himself and possibly in tandem with TLC to start reinventing himself on the show. And that's why I think that starting about 3 or 4 seasons ago, it started like his retelling of things that we have watched started getting downright insane to the point where many of us felt like we were being gaslit, made to think that we were crazy and we didn't see the thing that we know we saw. And the reason why I think that is because when he brings in those new eyes, most people aren't going to go back to season 1, episode 1 to watch this show if they thought Cody was interesting on Special Forces. They at best may go back. When did all the wives leave? That was season 16. At the end of 16, Christine packed him up. 17, she left. Okay, I'm going to go back and start watching season 16. And if you think about it, guys, gals, if you think about it, this is something I've also said. If you think about it, they run these shows much like episodes of the old Simpsons or those type of shows where something will happen. I watched The Simpsons where they had aliens come down and they take the planet over and, they had a planet like they wiping people out, blowing up cities, everything else all over the world. And eventually they get to a point where they find a guy with a board with a nail in it, start chasing the aliens. They be like, oh no, he found our weaknesses, a board with a nail in it. They run, jump on the plane, they fly out of here, they fly in the spaceship. They found out our ultimate weakness, and sooner or later they will build a board and that with a nail in it so big they'll destroy themselves. And that was the thing. Then the next Sunday, when they aired the next Simpsons, nobody said nothing about their damn aliens. Nobody had a board with a nail hanging over their door. There wasn't one about it, where you put your bat. They don't have one of them next to the bedroom door, like, tucked in. You had noise downstairs. Grab that board with a nail. It might be them aliens come back, get their ass whipped. Like none of that. Right? You just pretend like it never happened. And that's what happened in Sister Wives. Nobody, like stuff that we talk about all the time, Isabel or what Cody did on the porch. Nobody talks about that stuff. Nobody brings it up. Nobody says, oh yeah, remember that time Cody had all this wild shit he was saying to me about blah, 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 blah. Or that time on the show, he said da, 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 da. and run it that way. Because I guarantee you, look, if you got an argument with your spouse, you would bring up that old shit. You would bring it up to their face. Yes, you would. I know I do. Hell yeah, and I got a strong memory, Jack. So you're like, oh yeah, bring it up, right? Look, it happens. It is what it is. But they never do it on this show. And because they never do it and it never gets reinforced, it never gets talked about, we talk about it more. We talk about the insult of Isabel and to Christine in that moment more than any of them have ever talked about it publicly. Any of them ever talked about it publicly. We talk more about like the whole farce about the adoption and the ridiculousness of that. You have to adopt them kids. You have to get married to adopt those children. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. It's not real. We talk about that way more than they do. They bring it up and they mention it and then they blow past it. That's not enough for a new person who's coming into this show to fully understand why that baptism is important, why that ear piercing is important, why it's so important when Cody says that he just wants to see his daughter and Christine moved his daughter away. If you don't have the understanding that Cody used to live down the street and he didn't even wait, he didn't even stop in her house or pull into the driveway when he was driving by her house and she lived down the street. He didn't drive by and shoot at a damn bird when she was out there doing hopscotch or something. He didn't care. He didn't care to see her. But now all of a sudden he wants to see his daughter. And that's what people are going to be exposed to. And that's kind of what he's banking on. So this is why I say timelines are so important. But that's just some of the stuff that, I think Cody and Robin are banking on a lot of not necessarily us misremembering. And I've taken this position the whole time, guys. Him retelling that story is not for us. He's not trying to win us over. He's not trying to fool us. He's trying to reach the new people that he thinks he's going to get, the new fans that he thinks he's going to get. Oh, I got an email about some honey dips trying to find out about you and me and join the family because they think I'm sexy. Why is he doing that? I said this before, pardon me. I said this before. There was a lady who I said my dad's story time. My dad was when I was a young man, he told me about this lady who was famous for being pretty. And he said, she's average. I mean, you could go downtown and you'll see women that look way better than that. So why is everybody going crazy over her? Because that's how she marketed herself. She marketed herself as the pretty lady. Yeah, right? I'm the beautiful one. And everybody, yeah, she is pretty good looking. She is pretty cute. She's amazing looking. Ain't nobody prettier than that, right? And then what is Cody doing? He's marketing himself as the sex symbol, as somebody who's highly sought after. Why does he have the big romantic picture of him and his wife? Because that's the big sexy Cody. Like, look what I'm doing. Look what I can get. Look what I could pull. Because he thinks like he's still operating like on a, and this is kind of the weird part about it. Like on a production scale, he's operating this production of his show and his character like you would in the early 2000s. This marketing campaign might have worked in the early 2000s, especially with the limited television options that were available at the time. Now you can actually get Mr. Beautiful Man. You can get Gorgeous Lady on any channel, any network. Like you don't have to go to Ben's Bargain Basement to get the poor man's, poor man's hunk. You can go get like, Super Strong J, you know what I mean? Shoulders for days, dude. Barrel chest. Just saying. So he's playing himself. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird place. But let me give you guys the yeah, I'm with you. Kindness is great. I'm at that point where I'm sick of being lied to. And I think that that's also one of the things, like I didn't really consider that for the thing, but that's also one of the problems that this show has, is that they've all come out and admitted that they've lied this entire time. And if you've lied to me for 19 seasons, why would I take you serious for another 19 seasons? Why would I trust that now you're telling me the straight up truth about what's going on with you starting in what, on a spinoff. Now all of a sudden you're being honest about yourself and your life and everything. And this is all of them. This isn't just a Cody Robin problem. This is all of them. So they all have that problem. They all have that problem. Um, so I think I mean again, I don't know. I don't want to be that like I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer. Oh, just going shuck. I think it's gonna be it'll be what it is. And even Brittany, not Brittany, she made a good point. Like I said, last week, I believe it was, where she had said, oh, that shut down. Where she had said that she used to watch wrestling back in the day. And watching wrestling, it's fake. It's not a question. Like nobody was watching wrestling like this is so real. If you drop somebody on their head, like nobody who's hit puberty thinks that wrestling is real. Right? Everybody understands it's fake. But there is a point where it gets too fantastical that you're just like, okay, I'm tapping out. And one of the problems that I think that they have is that they aren't. When I say they, I'm saying the family themselves aren't at a point where they. I don't think they're at a point where they can look at this and come out with a self-produced story. And part of that is like they just don't like the storylines that Cody tells, isn't just bad from respect of it's a lie and it's silly. It's bad from the respect of you're telling us a story based on your understanding of how the world works, how relationships work. When I watch some shows, some TV shows or movies, and I see characters or elements in the show that don't make sense, I look at it like you don't have any life experience. Somebody who's never had a girlfriend can't write about what it's like to be married, right? With a wife and kids. Like you've never even had a girlfriend. You don't know you've never been on a first date. You never successfully approached a woman, built a relationship with a woman. You have no idea what it's like to be in a relationship with a woman. You're talking about, so when you ask that person to tell a story, they're telling an idealized version of what they think being in a relationship would be like from the experience and perspective of somebody who's never been in a relationship. So when you do that, it's terrible. And when I watch the self-produced storylines that Cody and Robin have and the things that they talk about, you guys just don't have enough life experience to be able to tell a cogent tale that makes sense. That's why so much of what you say just doesn't make freaking sense because you don't have that life experience. You don't have the ability, the capacity potentially to have a conversation with a person, understand what they're going through, then develop yourself into a character that mimics or relates to the character or person that you are listening to. So in a real form and fashion, what would a person really be going through in this moment? Like if you put yourself in the mind of an actor, right? And they get a script. You get a script, a bunch of words on a page. Then you have to look at those words and you look at what's happening. You look at the elements of what's going on. You look at what you're talking about, what's being discussed. And you not only look at what you're saying, but you start to try to understand what would you be feeling at the time and why would you be feeling that way? And that would give you information as to how that character is going to be presented to the audience and presented on the day. So when you walk into the to your audition or you walk into the filming of, because it's on the day of you filming, you already have it worked out. Not necessarily what you're going to do. I'm going to pick up the glass, I'm going to throw it against the wall, but you just have it in your mind like this is how I feel. And this is what's important to me as this character. My family is important, or because there's a point where Robin says, and this is one of the subcontextual things that I wanted to talk about, and I'll probably do it in another live, where Robin says, we're not selling the property until I feel satisfied with everything that's going on. Now, on its surface, if you just read that line, you would look at it and say, That shit is crazy because it's insulting. It makes you sound like the boss. But if you put it in context to, at the time, Janelle, last week we had talked, when we talked about Janelle had just bought a new property. But Janelle also had to redevelop. She has to develop that land, and she's starting basically, with no contribution from the family. So the contribution from the family is her investment that she's been pouring into the family over the course of the 30 plus years that she was involved with Cody and the Brown family. Right? So when she says, I'm going to hold that money back, the subtext of that is that I'm going to keep your money until you do what I tell you to do. I'm going to prevent you from making your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations come true until you do what I tell you to do. The money that you put into the investment down there in North Carolina, your money, as well as your daughter's money, as well as her husband's money, and the money that you going to use to take care of their kids, which was enough to purchase the land, but you guys need the money that I have and I have control of to build on the land, not realizing Janelle has her own money apparently, but you need me in order to get this done. So when I tell you that you can't do shit unless I let you do it, it's deeper than just, oh, she's a mean lady who married my husband and took advantage of the family. She's somebody who is standing in the way of you getting the things for your family that you need. The subtext is there. And if because they say this shit and they just wrote the lines, they didn't understand how deep that actually cuts. It's like you get into an argument with somebody who is mistreated by their parents. And then you say, look, they were neglected by their parents. They grew up in a household where they barely had enough food to eat. They barely had enough to take care of themselves and their siblings. And they had to struggle to make sure that they were providing for the kids who were younger than them because the parents wasn't doing shit. Right. And then when that person gets older, they maybe, they become hardened in certain ways. And they're sensitive to certain things, especially when it comes to like paternal parenting or paternal love, that kind of thing. And the force of their being independent is so important to them because they always felt like they had to take care of themselves. The way that you can hurt that person very easily is to attack their independence, their ability to take care of themselves, or you say something, you attack their independence, coupling it with their parents. For instance, if you say to that person, look here, you asking me to take care of you, I'm not your daddy. Okay, it's not my job to make sure you're okay. You need to learn to take care of yourself. That in itself is crazy. Okay, it's very insulting. That in itself is very insulting. But when you add on, you compound it with the experiences that person went through, where they came from, that statement becomes devastating. And again, because Robin and Cody, I personally feel like they don't have the life experience or the capacity to understand other people's experiences, sympathy and empathy. They lack that muscle. And because they lack that muscle and they can't understand those things, when they write their little scripts and their little storylines on what they want to say, they don't understand what they're actually saying, what the devastating commentary they're actually making. Because they say a lot of crazy shit. If you listen to them when they was having that produced ass conversation out there in front of Robin's house where the patch of ground was cut out and they were having a conversation standing there in the snow and I'm losing my mind, all that shit, right? You don't realize like there are so many like you're saying the words. He was saying the words. He was saying the right words. Robin was saying the right words. You got to be able to take care of your kids. Your kids are relying on you. The parents need you. As a parent, you don't never stop being a parent. These are all shit we've said on previous lives. You can go back in the library. You can look at my lives, and I'm sure on other people's channels. We've all been saying this. You don't ever stop being a parent. I don't give a damn how old your kid is. If your kid is 190 years old with like 18 grandkids and that's your child, be like, you still my baby. You know what I mean? If somebody do something to your 190-year-old son or daughter, you would pull up in your wheelchair talking about hold my teeth. hold my teeth. I'm about to knock somebody down because they ain't gonna be talking to my baby like that. Understand me? Because that's your child. And we've all been saying that. But I don't think that they actually understand this, because if that was a conversation that you were having, you would have been had this conversation. When they were talking about way back when they were arguing about the COVID rules and shit, and the kids can't come over, Robin would have popped off in that moment. These are your kids. I don't care what they did. I don't care what they did. They're good kids. They're all they want to do is spend time with you. It's not like they're a bunch of assholes who are trying to evade you, trying to destroy your character, trying to rip you down, tear you up, tear you apart, trying to steal from you, trying to rip the brakes up out your car because they want the insurance money. That's not what they want. They want to spend time with you. The reason why they cut insulting Robin is because they want to spend time with him. The reason why they so mad and the reason they were so disagreeable is because they want to spend time with you, dude. And I don't want to spend time with you. You're their father. Go spend time with your kids. That would have been a conversation she'd been had if she really felt that way. But you don't. So when you say these words, they don't have the depth and breadth of somebody who is living that experience. There's a saying in acting called living in the moment. You're supposed to be living in the moment. When you act, you're supposed to be there. You're not trying to think about what you did or what you had going on. It should already be baked into the cake in your bullshit. Oh my goodness. Did I shut off? Oh shit. Okay, here we go. All my shit just turned off, yo. All of it turned off. Everything. I'm just sitting there. It all went black. But back to what I'm saying. I think if you guys can see me, you can hit me with a 1. All right. I was like, oh shit. I'm saying about myself. But living in the moment, if you're living in the moment, right? You're not thinking about a whole lot of stuff, but you're saying what is actually going on in your life. What I don't see on this show is these people living in the moment. You're getting these arguments, you're just mad. You're just mad, but you're not thinking about, like, what is my emotion? What is happening with me? Because I understand what's going on. And when you say stuff, if like Cody's going around in this so-called apology tour. I'm gonna apologize because when I said I didn't love you, I didn't mean that shit. I really do love you. I always did love y'all too far. When he was doing that shit, look, for me, if you said it, you probably meant it. 1. Because again, I stand on the fact, it didn't occur to me till recently, like the where I connected the dots to make the point. But I stand on the fact that I don't think he ever really loved these women. I stand on that fact. I don't think he ever really loved these women, especially if in fact he is a narcissist. I don't think he's capable of loving these women. You're not going to be a narcissist, be in love with your family 1 minute, and then because you go out and get the thunderclapper, all of a sudden, you know what I mean? You getting drowned in the Thundercat. Now all of a sudden you don't really you don't love your wives no more, and all of a sudden you're a narcissist. That's not how the shit works. Narcissism is not a venereal disease. You understand what I mean? You don't catch it because you had a wild weekend, and all of a sudden you came back with you came down with the clap and narcissism. Like, that's not how it works, right? So he was probably always this way. It was always about him. It was always about what was in his best interest. It's just that it might not have been prevalent, or more to the point, it's more about, like, remember what I said about washing your memory? It very well could have been a situation where these ladies were willing to tolerate it because they thought they were getting a person that they potentially, like, all I got to do is focus on the person that when I first met them, because narcissists give you that point of ideal love. When they first meet you, they pour into you, they call it love bombing or whatever. They pour all this love into you. You're amazing, and you're great, and you're fantastic. And this is the most amazing situation I've ever been in. And then after a while, they get bored, they get disconnected, they move on. You're no longer, or you have an argument where you push back on something they said, and you no longer are that ideal. Then they start to pull away. And when they start to pull away, you spend most of your time with a narcissist trying to get them back to the person that they used to be when you first started going out or you first met them. You're trying to reinvent them back into the person that they used to be, who is no longer there, right? You do better to go down to the graveyard and try to pull one of them boxes up and pull that dude back, right? Before you bring a narcissist back. You're just wasting your time either way. And so I think that that's part of it. Like, he never really loved these women. But let's pretend he did. Let's pretend he did. Right? I love these women. I'm about these women. In light of what I just said, words matter. Words matter. And in this particular case, he came in and he hit them. I think that if you're in a relationship, I've said this before too, but if you're in a relationship, I keep it consistent. My shit is consistent. My shit talking is consistent. If you met a person and you're in a relationship, you know what buttons you can push to get that person going. You know what you can push to get them angry. You know what you can push to get them sad. You know what levers and stuff to pull if you want to tear their ass up. If you want to hurt them real bad, you know what levers to push. Now, in every relationship, this is just my way of phrasing it, part of my way of phrasing it if you don't like it, but it is what it is. I think in every relationship, you have the nuclear option, right? There's something that you could say or something you could do, which after you say this, this is that button you push where you say, after I say this shit, we are no longer, we ain't talking no more. We definitely ain't dating, but we ain't gonna be friends. You will rue the day that you ever met me when I push this. Yeah, when you push that button right there, that's it. That you will never be spoken of again. Right? Every relationship has that nuclear option. And for him to go to Janelle and hit her and stuff that's important to her, you bad with money. And not only, subtext matters. I said this, but I haven't heard any of the wives say this. When Cody sits there and says, you guys, Janelle was controlling the money. She left bills unpaid. The money started up here. And then when Janelle left, the money was way down here. And then you turn, because she opened the books up and you say, yeah, Janelle was running them books. You're saying that Janelle was stealing. You're not saying she mismanaged money. You're saying she was stealing. Because that's how I would take it. If you put me in that situation and you said that, James, I left money here on my nightstand. When I came back, the money is gone. You was gone and the money was gone. You just said I stole your money. No, I never said steal. I didn't use those words. You didn't have to, because I'm not a dummy. I'm not a dummy dude. I understand what it means when you say you left something here. I left money in the bank account. We was all putting money, guys. We was all putting money in that bank account, the family account, right? You was putting your entire TLC check. I was, Mary, Janelle, Kristen. You guys were all putting your money in there. That the money is gone. Janelle has left the family and the money is gone. What do you think is being said? Janelle was controlling the money. She was in charge of the books. Remember, guys, we were saying Janelle's in charge of the books? Yeah, the money is low, it's missing. Yeah, it's gone. All of it. Yes. What do you think he's saying? When he went after Christine and her ability to take care of her kids, all you did was worry about the kids. The kids are easy. If the kids so damn easy, how come you're not doing it? Kids so easy, why ain't you doing it? But if you said that to Cody, he don't give a shit about the kids, so you saying it to him, you repeat it back to him, isn't gonna hurt his feelings. You want to hurt him, say he ugly, say he out of style, say he broke, say he poor, he don't take good care of his family, and then tell him, and then you say those things, he could probably be lukewarm on that shit. But then you say, I'm gonna put it in a magazine, or I'm gonna put it online, or I'm gonna say it to a group of people, or I'm gonna get on the show next season, I'm gonna say it. That'll hurt him. Right? So it's not the fact that he said he was proclaiming for the last, I don't know how long, that he didn't love these women. And we all understand that. That's not the point. The point is that when you said it, you was trying to hurt him. So it's not just the fact of what you said, it's why you said it. That's part of the human condition. That's part of understanding that. Is understanding part of the human condition. This is the stuff I'm saying he doesn't understand. You telling a woman that you don't love her, you're not just telling her that because you try. Look, I never did like you anyway. I mean, that's childish as shit. That's something you would expect from like a young boy driving around. What they say, no scrubs, riding your homeboys, the side of your homeboys, the passenger side of your homeboys ride, trying to holler at me. That's it. That's the line, right? Riding the passenger side of your homeboys ride, trying to holler at me. And you instead of there, you be like, yo, girl, what's up? Yo, chicken, 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 yo, chicken, chicken. She turned around like, yo, get the hell out of here. Oh, ain't nobody want you anyway, ugly. Ain't nobody want to try to talk to you. You knock me, old so and so. Why you up mad? Why you mad then? She reject you. What you mad about, cuz? It's not what you said, it's why you said it. You trying to hurt her feelings. And so the fact that he thought that him saying that was going to devastate, because he has that sense of self-importance. So he believes that him telling them women that he don't love you, and then him telling worse, him telling your kids that he never loved you. It's one thing for you to say some jacked up shit to me. Like if I got an argument with my wife and she says some jacked up shit to me, that's one thing. But if you go back to tell my damn kids, so especially something that's not true, with the full intention of trying to hurt my children because you know that's going to hurt me, oh, then we done. We done daughter. We done daughter. We dead. Our relationship is dead as fried chicken, baby. It's over. You're going to try to hurt my kids because you want to hurt me because you think that, oh, I was just looking for something to say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why you said it. The fact that you said it and this was your intention, that's all I care about. I don't give a shit about, you stubbed your toe, when you was coming home, you got a damn parking ticket, then you drove home mad and the cops pulled you over and gave you another driving, speeding ticket. I don't give a damn. That problem's between you and you, right? And what he tried to do was he tried to hurt these women by making those statements. That was the point of it. And he doesn't understand that. Like he thought that shit was clever, professing everybody that he didn't love these women. When he was sitting there with Suki and he first uttered those words, he thought that shit was clever. When he was sitting there with every time he talked to Robin, he talked about how he don't love him and he never loved him. He thought that shit was clever because he doesn't understand how people work. He doesn't understand it. It's a foreign concept. This is like, and this is jacked up, but it's consistent. If he is a narcissist, again, I am not diagnosing him as a narcissist. This is not a clinical diagnosis. I'm merely saying, if he's a narcissist, this would make sense to me. Because people who have these type of disorders, narcissism, psychopathy, sociopathy, those type of disorders, they study people like Animal Planet. Okay, I could sit down all day and watch. They have Shark Week. I could sit down every day next 2-3 weeks and watch every season, every episode of Shark Week ever filmed. That don't mean I know what it's like to be a fucking shark. I can watch the lions and the tigers and the bears, oh my, out there living their life. Every day, 10 hours a day. Watch that stuff. Every documentary they put out about them. That don't know it doesn't mean I know what it's like to be a lion, tiger, or bear, or live in the wilderness, or fight every day for my food. That's not what that means. I could tell you like what's symptomatic or things that I've seen them do, like behaviors and stuff that I've observed, and then I could try to mimic those behaviors. But I don't understand. I don't understand the depth and breadth of why they do what they do. I just know that this is what they do. And I feel like when I watch Cody and them try to produce these shows, self-produce these shows, that's what I'm watching. I'm watching somebody who fundamentally doesn't understand how people actually work, how relationships actually work. Again, this is the 28-year-old virgin trying to write a love story about, oh yeah, and I've seen this movie before. I've seen this movie a couple times and variances. Man married to a wife, then the wife cheats on the man with this guy who's his friend. Actually, it was on Scandal. Cheats with a guy who's his friend. All of them, they involved with like a messy ass love triangle. Then eventually the two men, they might be angry with each other, but eventually they get around to the point with whoever she chooses, the two men will get around to being rekindling their friendship and be friends and be cool. It's to the point where they could come over each other's house and they see the woman that both of them used to be with, and they'll see her in the kitchen making something like, "Hey, what's going on, Susan? Can I get a beer? Thank you so much, Susan. Oh, you're good. Thanks for coming over, Joe. You're the best." Right? Whoever wrote that shit doesn't understand how relationships work. That's not what's gonna fit to happen. Right. And I feel bad for people who watch those shows and think that's how it go down. That you gonna cheat on somebody and then they're gonna understand why you did it. I feel bad for you if you think that that's how it's gonna go down. Oh, we all gonna be friends afterwards. All it has to happen is I just have to tell them the truth. Baby, I've been screwing your sister. Oh, that's okay. We shared a bed at one point. That's fine. That's not a real conversation. You don't understand how people work. If you think that's how it's going to go down, you don't understand how people work. But that's that, man. Well, let me get to Jody Periscala. Where's my thing? Oh, okay. Jody Periscala left a $9.99 super treat. Sorry, missed out. Missed a lot. But in the Sister Wife book, do I remember right? The ladies told Cody they felt they belonged in the family. I feel that Robin got pushed on them by Cody. Well, they said that I think early on, Janelle had said she felt like she belonged in a family. And I think Christine also said it. But a lot of that is just merely that's what's done. You know what I mean? I think that that's kind of the modus operandi, like how they operate in this community. Like, because they can't go on and be like, yeah, I saw you, girl. You was up there, you was walking up in the church. I saw you, man. Look like two midgets was under your dress fighting. Girl, look like you had two midgets back there wrestling. I had to get at you. Like, they can't do that. You know what I mean? Girl, you working that dress, like they can't do that kind of stuff. So they have to say stuff like, I felt moved, I felt a calling that I belonged in your family. And by that, even that like little signatory has the subtext, because in that faith, to my understanding, again, I'm on the outside white animal planet, y'all. My understanding, what happens is that like they believe. And if somebody's a Mormon or part of the EUB in the chat, you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm always willing to learn. But it's my understanding that not only are you put together paired in a previous, in your previous existence, but there are also children who are assigned to join your family that are waiting to be born. This is something that Robin had talked about, like when she was saying later on after she had Ariella, that she felt like there was another child out there, like a little blonde hair child or something like that. She said blue-eyed child that was waiting for her to bring her into the family, and she wants to make sure she has all the kids she's supposed to have, because they believe that like you're assigning kids and like your spirits, the spirits of your children, your future children or whatever, are still in heaven. They're waiting to come down, and you have to create that pathway for them. So when you say that you feel like you belong into the family, that's one of the things that kind of heralds to that point, because it's all like your unions are all divine in nature. So it's not that you you saw, you saw the Thundercat in church one day and it got struck by a lightning bolt, which is usually what folks will refer to as lust. And all of a sudden you felt moved to go over there and talk to her. And based on the conversations, you wanted to bring her into the family. What they say is, I felt like our relationship was anointed by God, and he put us together and pushed me into making sure, securing that you're a part of my family. So it's a lot of, I mean, this is that religious smackdown, I guess, in fairness, where you're like, girl, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than us, baby. you know, gotta let me get up in there. Girl, it's bigger than us. But yeah. But Robin also make that claim. A lot of the wives make that claim. I'm sure if you go through much of the AEB and even like the Mormon church, they'll probably make the same thing. Oh shit. He says she's telling other people's babies and putting them in the dolls. Like she's some kind of demented witch. Oh man. Oh, let me see. Raiders mom. C Rods Z710. Sorry, I didn't mean to title you if you were trying to evade. $4.99 super chat. Is she gonna lose her poopadoop after lose her ear after the piercing? Is she gonna drown a little while being baptized? No, then I don't care. Random Boss says she'd have to have she had to have some kind of crazy infection where they doing like a crossover with like some ER show with Dr. Pimple Popper or something. I think that's also on TLC. You know, where she's addicted to doing what's that? My Secret Addiction or whatever. She goes to churches and get baptized in like different religions every other weekend. Yeah, but again, I'm with you. I don't care. I 100% agree with Brandon. I don't care. You know, if that's something that you're doing, you have to give us the context of why this is important. You're just saying, yeah, you know, her going down, getting baptized, that's important to it. Well, it's kind of important to everybody else. There was an easy out. I mean, this is why they can't remake a lot of the shows and movies from the 80s. In the 80s, they had easy out for Miss Molly's mom said Dr. Pimple Popper moved to Lifetime. Okay, did not know that. Yeah, there in the 80s, there was a simple formula, right? Somebody comes in, like action movies. Somebody comes in, they offend you, your family. Somebody gets unalived or whatever. You get revenge. Blah blah blah. And it wasn't necessarily that's all they would say. They killed my parents. They killed my wife. They killed my child. And there wouldn't be any real context as to why that's important. It would just be the title. They relied so heavily just on the title of it by you saying that this label of a person, right? And what they discovered later on as stories started to develop and get better, to be honest with you, they started to develop those relationships. What makes the first scene of Bambi so powerful? The first scene of Bambi is powerful not because Bambi loses their parents. What makes Bambi so powerful, Dumbo so powerful, those old classic films so powerful in those first few frames, even a movie, great movie, Up, first 5 minutes of that movie, heartbreaking, right? You watch these people get old and you watch this woman pass and leave this man. It's the development. We get to see the development, the quiet, unspoken development of that relationship and why that relationship is so important to the main character before that main character loses that relationship. That loss is what changes that character and formulates their spine, what they believe in and what they're about. And you can't understand that unless you understand why this thing was so important to them and why the loss of this thing was such a defining moment. I don't know why her getting baptized that late in life for this particular religion is so important to her. Her saying that she has a strong relationship with God, okay, that's great, but it's not necessarily, and this goes to another thing, I'm not prepared to watch you do ordinary shit. I'm not going to watch you eat a bowl of cereal. I'm not going to watch any one of them, you know, hey, it's Janelle. I'm coming in. I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal, y'all. I'm not for 45 minutes. And the way they do TLC shows, an hour and a half, I'm pouring more milk now. Blah, 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 blah. And that's the whole show. Nope. You getting baptized, getting your ears pierced, same difference to me. So no, I don't care. Let me give you a little something. Now I might have to go back and get Jody Pierce, Scala, OG Triple OG. Let me give Jody a little something, something too. All right. Oh, here's Jody Periscala once again for $4.99 super treat. How come Robin and Cody dated so long, like a year? Long honeymoon. Isn't that red flag? In this faith, yeah. They actually dated way longer than they should have. But the reason why they dated that long was for twofold. One, they dated that long because they couldn't afford to get married. Cody couldn't afford to bring her down. He didn't have the money or finances to do it. So again, this is like, so when we say or speculate that this marriage never would have happened if they wouldn't have had the TV show, it 100% wouldn't have happened if they hadn't have the TV show. Because Cody didn't have enough money to marry her. He certainly didn't have enough money to put her up around the corner without her having a job or any form of income. And he's footing 100% of the bills. There was a point I have to do. I want to do something about it. I might do it in a separate live, where Cody put out a video, and he was talking about honeymoons, and he had talked about his honeymoon with Robin and how he was so broke when they went on this 10-day honeymoon. And his advice to this person was, went on this honeymoon, and I'm gonna tell you right now, that's determinative of how your marriage is gonna be. If your honeymoon is amazing, then your marriage is gonna be amazing. That's what the honeymoon does. It tells you everything you need to know about your wedding. And I call bullshit on that. Because again, you don't understand how relationships work. Let me tell you something, because there's a lot of people in the world who never get a chance to go on a honeymoon. A honeymoon is a luxury. That's a first world problem. When you say I can't go on a island cruise for a honeymoon, there's people who go on a honeymoon. You know what their honeymoon is? They pack a lunch and they go on a picnic somewhere, and they have a wonderful time. You know why they have a wonderful time? Because they're with the person that they care about. They're with the person that they love. See, that's the fundamental difference, my friend, between somebody who approaches relationships like Cody approaches relationships versus somebody who approaches relationship as I like to see I approach relationships. When push comes down to shove, I don't need a church. I don't need the government. I don't need anybody to tell me who I can be in a relationship with and how I feel about that person. The marriage stuff, the wedding stuff, that's all nice to have, and it helps with some legality issues. But those things don't determine my relationship with the person that I'm in a relationship with. My wife would be my wife, whether she was my legal wife or not. She would be, because that's our relationship. Those titles don't mean shit to me. Legitly, they don't mean anything to me. The only reason why those are important is because of legal issues when it comes to dealing with real world things. Like if I were to get sick, if we didn't have that piece of paper, then there's a possibility she wouldn't be able to see me in the hospital. Right. Or if something were to happen to me, they wouldn't give her my remains because she doesn't have that piece of paper. But that doesn't determine how I feel about her. That has nothing to do with it. And if we take a honeymoon and we go to the damn moon, that'd be awesome. If we go down to the corner store, to the convenience store, you get married, you walk your ass to the convenience store, you share a bag of chips, but you're sharing it with a person who means something to you, then that is more important than you going on a $10,000 honeymoon with a person who you can barely stand. Or more importantly, you go on a $10,000 honeymoon with a person who is only with you because you can afford to take them on a $10,000 honeymoon. That would be a red flag to me. I don't give a shit about how awesome your honeymoon is. Oh, we got to spend 10 days when I was married. He did this whole freaking thing. I got to do this thing. He did this whole lecture about how when he was on his 10 to 14 day honeymoon with the love of his life, and they were too busy pouring into each other, he had one of his selfish ass wives call him up and get on the phone with him and want to talk to him for 2 hours. And during that time, because they didn't have no money, Robin had to walk around the park. Too damn so sad. Too damn bad, so sad. Sorry your wife your current wife got to go on a 10-day vacation and your other wives had to stay the fuck home and watch your kids. Sorry. You had to take a little time out and 2 hours out of your day of your break, your vacation, where you're not dealing with any kids, to talk to a wife who most likely was Christine, who at the time had just had Truly, and Truly was still an infant. So if this woman who just had your infant child, who you are also supposedly married to, wants to take a little time to have a conversation with you, to tell you what the hell is going on at your house, shouldn't you be just as excited about that? Call me crazy. Again, for me, this is Animal Planet, because I know the parts of it, but I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I couldn't do this. It doesn't make any dang on sense to me that you would complain about that. That doesn't make any sense to me. This is because the woman who you left at home is just as much your wife as the woman you just married. The new one isn't more important than the one you left at home. And she's not taking time away from your new one, because technically you need to be sharing your time equally with all of them. So it's not like this person was intruding in on your relationship. You can't believe this. You talk about Christine calling you on your honeymoon like she Joe from work. You ain't gonna believe Joe from work gonna call me up, ask me where the forklift keys are. Some on my bitch. This is ridiculous. Crazy. You crazy. You know? And there's a lot of stuff that can be said about the length of time that they dated each other and they were going out. A lot can be said about that. And I think that the criticism for that is justifiable, especially because here's my twist and here's my spin. And this is one of the things I'm going to say. Most likely, I'm going to give you a little preview, because I like I said, my shit stay consistent. Hey, it is what it is. But I can tell you right now, my initial thoughts on that, if you don't have, and I say this whether you're a monogamous, polygamous, or whatever it is, whatever it is you are, right? If you find yourself in a situation where you have an opportunity to go on a 10-day, a 5-day, 15-day, 20-day, 30-day honeymoon or vacation, and when you get there, you're not going to have a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out of. He talking about he was feeding her seeds and nuts and shit on vacation because that's all he could afford to feed her. Like that's some kind of hero stamp. Then that tells me two things. One, you bad with money. You're bad with money. Because you couldn't get money together so that you can enjoy being on vacation. The whole purpose of you going on vacation is to pretend you rich. That's what vacation, especially in first world countries, that's what a vacation is. We're pretending to be rich. You go somewhere, you stay at a nice place. You usually stay somewhere where you couldn't necessarily go every other weekend, right? So it's an endeavor for you. Like it's special to you that you go into this place. Then you're going to be in a nice place. You're going to be eat at nice restaurants. You're probably going to get new clothes when you go. So everything you got, you pulling tags off of. And then you're going to have spending money when you get there. And more importantly, the whole time you're on vacation, you're not working. You off from work. You're pretending to be rich. You're living a life of leisure. That's what our vacations are, essentially. You're role playing a wealthy person. That's our vacations. I've never heard somebody say, yeah, man, I went on vacation, dog. It was so nice. Where'd you go, yo? I went to this little town in Pennsylvania called Scranton. And I got a job at the Sheets. And I worked up in there for like that whole week. I was working a 12-hour shift. Drinking stale coffee and eating hot dogs. You know what I mean? Them hot dogs has been on the grill for 3 weeks and shit. Nobody know what it is. You know, them hot dog / mystery meats. They delicious, son. They delicious. Best vacation ever. Nobody's ever said that. But the second thing is, especially, again, Animal Planet, I don't know. This is just my thinking. Especially if you have wives and kids at home and you're looking at your 10-day to 14-day vacation and you can honestly say we were broke, then your broke ass couldn't afford to do it. And you shouldn't be doing it. If you go on vacation and you can't afford to do nothing when you get there, you can't afford to go. And you probably shouldn't go, especially if you got bills waiting for you at home. Don't even make no sense. If you're going on vacation and you're like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm going to get the vacation. We barely got enough money to eat. We can get into the parks. But once we're in the parks, you know, if you look, I haven't been to Disneyland. That's where they went. I've been to Disney World, though. I've been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney World. You go to Disney World. You go to Magic Kingdom or Epcot. Those are the two big parks with all the rides. And of course, there's like the wet place, the water slide place. But if you go to Disney World, here's a secret. I'm going to give you a little secret. At Disney World, in Epcot, and at Magic Kingdom, the two big parks they have at Disney, they have a grand total of maybe 4 big feature rides in each of those parks. There's 4 rides in Magic Kingdom, 4 rides in the Epcot. And between those rides are probably about half a mile apart. Right? So you're doing a lot to get to ride to ride to ride. You're doing a lot of walking. And usually the park is pretty crowded. So you're weaving through a lot of people and walking your ass off. It's Florida. Technically, you're in swamp country, right? Because Disneyland was built on a swamp. So it's hot as shit, right? And you're walking half a mile and you're going to stand in line for about, depending on time of year you go and how many people are there, what the weather is like, you could be standing in line for one of those 4 rides for anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes just to get on the ride. Then you do all that walking and, to different rides and stuff. By the time you get done, you are whipped and you go back to the hotel. You tired of shit, felt like you did something. But if you really break it down, you only got on about 4 or 5 rides that day. The rest of the time, you walking by restaurants, eateries, candy places, cookies, bakeries, everything else. You will spend that whole time. If you're telling me that you don't have any money, you just dropped yourself into the 5th ring of hell. You walking around there hungry as shit, thirsty as all get out, because it's hot as hell. You sweating your ass off, and you just trying to get from ride to ride to ride. And you stand in line, the sun beating your ass up, beating you like you owe the sun money, beating your ass down, son. And all you can do is just smell all that delicious food down there. And the food is not all right. You know what I mean? Don't get like the ribs or the turkey legs. They big on selling that shit, but I don't know why. I make a better. Like I make both those way better. But we doing better at the house. But you will walk around down there. I'm telling you. And he's talking about we was down there eating seeds and shit. We was eating nuts and seeds. That shit's for the birds. That's what you down to eat bird food because you date a woman named Robin. Don't mean you gotta feed her like a bird. You understand what I mean? So yeah, that's not impressive. That wasn't a good story, bro. Oh, we were suffering. But we would pour into each other. We would sit there and eat like got little nuts and shit. We would pour into each other, try to make it sound romantic. That's horrible. That also shows, like he said, it's indicative of what your relationship is going to be like. Bro, you just showed your wife what your future life is going to be like because you demonstrated to her that you're bad with money. And so you're going to be embedded. You're going to be in debt and invested in this horrible life and lifestyle because you're not going to be able to take care of her because you're shitty with money. You make bad financial decisions. I'm going to take you on a 14-day vacation. We don't have no money to do nothing when we get there. We barely got enough money to get there. And then when we get back, we're going to have a stack of bills waiting for us. It's going to be awesome. That shit is terrible. You're a horrible person. But yeah, they dated for so long because Cody was broke. In fact, they were talking about like quiet as it's kept in the book. Cody had revealed that he was going to sell his car so that they can get married. Like he was like this close to selling the Lexus, the convertible Lexus, which should have been gone. Like if you can't pay your bills, why are you keeping a car that you could sell? Like I could see if the car was like, if it was like a 20, 30-year-old car that you won't get like $100 or $1,000. Well, I mean, if you suffering enough, then shit, $1,000, $1,000. But you know what I mean? If it's like it's going to be, it'll cost you more to sell the car and replace the car if you need to replace the car, then I can understand you not doing it. The question would be, why did you get it in the first place? But we'll say that for another time. Yeah, Michelle said we stood in line for the Haunted Mansion for 2 hours. That's what I'm talking about. Like, and this is, I mean, if you get on the rides they have at Disney are amazing. They're amazing rides, like between Disney and Universal. Those rides, it's I don't 2 hours, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about, but like the wait is in like half hour or so, half hour, 45 minutes, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Those rides are amazing. Like the 3D and stuff. Like when they have 3D, their 3D is like you could almost touch the movie. Like you go sit, they have like little movie theaters. That's the other thing. They have short rides, but they have like movie theaters and other things that you can do. And they run these little movies or whatever. And they'll have these movies, and you go in with the 3D. And this is even back in the day. They 3D is so good. You will feel like they'll have like the seats and stuff set up. So I think I saw like the Bugs Life when I was there. I know I went one time. I saw the Bugs Life, and they had like somebody would sneeze or something. They'd have like air come from the back, and you would feel it. So it's like a totally immersive thing. And then they had like they were supposed to be like, oh, the bugs are going to leave, and they had something in the floor to where it felt like bugs was running under your feet. Like shit was creepy, right? But it was cool. And they had like a creature that like was supposed to step out or be flying around, and it looked like it was flying in like if I was seating in like I think row 4, and it looked like it was flying around row 2 and 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like right over top of their heads or whatever. It's crazy. Like the money that they put into this stuff is awesome. But there's only 4 rides there. Like that's the thing. Like don't go there. Like if you're a rider and you like going to rides, just go to the local amusement park. Whether you got Great Adventure, King's Dominion, Dorney Park, whatever you got around you, I guarantee you there's more amusement park and thrill rides at that place than they have at Disney. It's just that those rides are way different because they're different kind of rides. They're not necessarily thrill rides as much as they are like spectacle rides. Like you got to be amazed. Yeah, but it is what it is. They give Jody Pierce got a little something. Let me give her a little something. If I did, we do it so nice. We do it twice. Ow! Oh, let's see. We have unlimited lipstick. Janet in the house. Remember for 3 months. Let me just jump it over here so I can see it better. Christine's book references Cody requiring a 1-hour massage before sex. What the shit? But not giving one back, and how he stuck it in. No foreplay on wedding night. Oh my god. Cody, like, you gonna have to rub me down, girl, so I can stretch it out. Cause I'm the king. You got to take care of me, and I'm not taking care of you. Like I said, that's like I talked about that earlier, but that's just selfish. If that's what you're doing, that's selfish. That's selfish as hell. That's just, yeah, I can't. I can't co-sign that. Like I said, rub it. Girl, you got to rub me down for an hour. Give me a massage. Get me in the mood. Cody's such a diva. He's such a diva. You got to get me in the mood, girl. Where them candles at? Before you get the candles and the baby oil. We're going to treat this like a P. Diddy party, baby. Get that baby oil out. We about to get it crack-a-lacking. Like, are you stupid? You going to touch me at all, Cody? No. I'm on a timetable. It's like, could you imagine? You know what? God bless them. God bless them. Because these ladies, man, yeah, this is my thing. I've look, I've said this shit before too, but I'm gonna say it again. We push them down and shove, you know, you don't like this is why I think it's so important. Like I was criticized one time. You say stuff that we already know. Who don't know that? Apparently people don't know that. And this is why it's on us to say something. If you're in a relationship and you spending an hour rubbing some joker ass dude down, you rubbing him down for an hour so he could crawl up on top of you for 2 minutes at best. You need to manage your time better, girlfriend. That's, I got to put in an hour so I can get a minute. So we gonna be done in an hour and 60 seconds. Shit. And I'm gonna be stroking and humping and pumping, rubbing you down. And then we go then get what? The only thing he didn't do in this situation is throw 100 up on the nightstand. I mean 100. Who am I? Who we kidding? $5. Tony probably be like, there you go. That for you on the nightstand. Left your little something, something. 4 quarters. What the hell I'm gonna do this? Make a phone call? Need to call another dude. That's what you need to call. Shit. Rubber. I don't know. That's a rough. And the fact that you gotta, how do you have that conversation? Like that just shows you how selfish some people are. Like, how do you have that conversation? You know you're not even fitting to try to do none of that stuff to her. And you're gonna tell her you gotta run me down for like I would feel stupid asking somebody, like, and I know it is what it is. I would feel silly, like, yeah, you gonna have to run me down before we get started, girl, because I ain't trying to pull no hammies. I ain't in there trying to pull no hammies up in this joint. Pull a hamstring, come up limp. This guy, man, every time I think about it, it's a joke. It's just terrible. It's terrible. But let me give Jan a little something. We got a Raiders Mom. You got to say Raiders Mom. Remember for 5 months? Okay, Raiders Mom. Hey, James, if my husband and I had $1 for every time we've gotten a forklift call, we could afford an 11-day honeymoon. That's what I'm saying. Hey, I know you were here. You just got off work. But I could have asked you this while you were here. But let me just go ahead and ask you this dumbass question. You work there too, right? You just as responsible as I am. In fact, ain't you my boss? Shouldn't you know what I know? Because that's why you my boss. Technically, you should be telling me how to do what I do. So why are you calling me to ask me how to do what I do when you should know what I do? In fact, you should know what I do better than I do. You do? Yeah, they call your ass up though. That's why every time, man, I've always taken this position. I've even talked to my daughter, like when she start working. I told her this, that when you deal with people, there's certain people who are, especially bosses. When you deal with people who are bosses, right? Usually you get there's a myriad of types of bosses you can get, but strongly there's one of 2 types of bosses you can get. One, you get a boss who just cares about you doing what they say. They just care about having people that they can boss about because they're a boss, right? 2, you have not a boss, but a leader. And a leader cares about his people, his or her people, in their careers, in their progressions, and their comfort. Even in some cases, not saying he or she's willing to sacrifice themselves per se, but to the point where you want to make sure that they're successful. Me, I like to think that I was more, especially in a leadership position, I was more in that second realm. And I would always try to build teams, right? People who work with me or work under me or for me. I would try to build a team so that I can have a vacation. Like I want them to do well. If they're doing well, then I'm doing well because they're making my job a lot easier because now I don't have to go back and do their job. And I don't have to come back and follow up with them and make sure that they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Two, if they are able to not only do their jobs, but they're able to, cross and do somebody else's on a team's job, and we all understand what we all do, then in a positive realm, like I said, we all look good. For them, it gives them a clear path to where they can get promoted or they can move up and they can start doing different things or get different jobs or whatever the case may be. Especially if they do a good job, I'll gladly write a resume or a letter of recommendation. Then that's good for them. For me, on the selfish side, if you just want to be an asshole and say, well, what do you get out of it? What I get out of it is I get a day off. When stuff happens or things happen and things go down, or if there's a hiccup, if everything is going great, they know how to do it. I'm off. Everything is cool. If there's a problem, unless it's a major, major, big problem, they can take care of it because they not only know their jobs, but they understand how to resolve different issues because that's what we've all been working on this entire time. Right. But if you have to call somebody on a vacation or they honeymoon or when they have life events, milestones, they buy in a house, their parents pass away, and they trying to figure out funeral expenses and funeral arrangements, and you got to call them up because you got to ask a question about what's going on at the office or at the job or how to do this or how to do that. How do you stock the shelves? Where do you park the forklifts? Where's the forklift key? Where's the bat? Where do you charge it at? How do you know it's ready to go? Which one should we use? Like that kind of stuff. Then you're failing. You're failing as a leader, my friend. You're failing. You're failing not only your team, but you're failing yourself. Because again, you're the only one who know how to do it, so you don't get a day off. Because when the shit hit the fan, everybody gonna call you. And then if you don't pick your phone up because you were too busy doing whatever you were doing, like vacation stuff, I'm doing vacation stuff on vacation. So no, I don't have my phone with me all the time. If you out there swimming in the pool and your boss is calling you and you get out of the pool, you look at your phone and you got like 87 missed messages from your boss who's at work and they looking for something and you had it, you were assigned to it and you on vacation and nobody know what to do and they're calling you and you don't pick the phone up, you might come back from vacation and get fired. It's stupid. How you get fired on your day off? I've been calling you. I was on vacation. It's not fair. You're going to let me go because I was on vacation. I don't care. I don't care. So, but yeah, I'm with you. Raiders mind. We get a little something, Raiders mind. Let me see. Because you believe in team effort and teamwork, James. Thank you very much, Lizzie B. That's right. All boats rise. Because if not, we all burn down. We either rise together. What do you say, Ben Franklin? Either hang together, we hang separately. So yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, that's what the story was. He only had $500 on his credit card for food. And you know who's paying that credit card when he got home? Like, how you gonna take your last wife on vacation, leave all your kids with your current wives, your next wife on vacation on honeymoon, 14 days that you never gave them, and you gonna put it on a credit card that they gonna have to help you pay. Ridiculous. Oh shit, I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to get to the phone calls. What I will do is I want to do a live. Wait, let me check the results first. Let's do that. And then I'm going to run a live tomorrow. I'm going to drop a live at nobody needs salt that bad. I'm going to do a live tomorrow and I'm going to just open it up right off the top so you guys can call in. I'll do it about I don't know. Does Sarah still do hers live at 7? Maybe tomorrow at 7 or 8. Then we'll run it. But let me pop this out real quick so I can see it better. So I'm not looking like I'm looking up in the sky. There we go. Here's the poll results. Or damn shit. Would Sister Wives be successful if it premiered for the first time today in 2025? Okay. 19% said yes, people would still watch. And this is actually the closest poll we've ever had. 40% said maybe, but not nearly as big. 41% said no, it'd get lost in the noise. Yeah. I'm kind of in the no, it wouldn't be nowhere near as big and it would get lost in the noise. Because it's just like if it just started as far as like, hi, I'm Cody Brown, and these are my 4 wives. Maybe it would get some traction, but it definitely wouldn't get any traction where it is now. Hi, I'm Cody Brown. I'm an ex-polygamist. This is my wife. These are the other 3 women I hate. I don't love them at all. I never loved them. I'm not watching that show. Especially with him starting off. Like if I started on season 20 or 17, I saw him yelling at somebody like that. I think it was like we were used to Cody, and that's why it wasn't as crazy as it really is. That he was yelling at them the way he was, or yelling at Christine specifically, the way he was on that. I think the only reason why he kind of got away with it is because we were just used to how he was. But if that was a thing where, like, if I just started watching the show, Poly Family came out, and the dude Sean, the little short bald head dude, he started yelling at one of them women, like, "Oh, this is ridiculous! I'm not giving this dude no more time. I'm not watching this no more." And that would have been the last episode for me. I mean, much like the season 6. Like by the time they came out with episode 6, season 6, episode 6 of Poly Family, and I found out the allegations that was tied to that dude, I'm not watching him no more. I'm not giving him any more shine. I'm not doing any videos on him. Like I had a video that was set to go, and I found out I'm not giving him any shine. Like, oh no, no. Maybe that would have been my breakout video. I got a TLC would have invited me up for the tell-alls or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not giving them no shine. Like I'm not helping them. I'm not sane watching them. I'm not, clearing any of their behaviors. I'm not pretending like it's a both sides issue. None of that. Nope. You mess with kids, you're an asshole and you deserve whatever come to you. Well, that's my position. Oh shit. Yeah, but at one point, McKelty pointed out Robin brought the cold sores. Oh shit. That's another thing. Could you imagine paying for a honeymoon for a person who's gonna come in and hook your whole family up, got y'all busted out and shit? Like, we was fine for, and that's the thing. Like, God bless y'all, Animal Planet. God bless y'all for doing the polygamy thing. It'd be hard for me to sit there with somebody, especially like if I'm looking at it from like the polyandry point of view. Like I'm with my wife and I'm like, okay, as a family, we decide we're gonna let her go out and marry 3-4 other people or whatever. Like she just marrying these dudes, and then there's some dude she marry that I don't even like, and he don't want to do nothing. He don't want to work. He don't want to contribute, and he bringing a damn venereal disease. Got me on TV looking crazy. Oh, bitch. Oh, man. I would set burn this mother down. There ain't no way in the world. Ain't no way in the world. Like, you got this lady, I'm paying for a honeymoon, and she gonna bring in she gonna have my shit all like, you know what I mean? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Tina just had it too. Say, did you ever notice Christina Berry never had a cold sore? Cody not being into them was a good thing. Yeah, you saved the asses. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, Christine was begging for it, but you might have made out. You might have made out. I mean, because I would have been like, God bless anybody who has like because let's be honest, like it's pretty prolific. Like 1 in 4 people have it. So it's not a thing like you out trying to, you know, find leprechaun and the leprechaun's gold pot at the end of the damn rainbow. Like it's 1 in 4 people. So it's out there. Part of the challenge though with anything, as with anything, that is an additional conversation that you have to anybody that you plan on dating. So if Christine's out there in the sexual marketplace, her and Mary, when we broke away from the family, and they go out and try to get a man, that's a conversation that they have to have, with the person that potentially they're going to be dating. So, they already have like being in the relationships that they were having, their sexual history as far as being involved with a polygamous relationship, that not working out, them having as many kids as they have personally, and then being tied to an additional, a total 18 kids. That's a lot of folks that you tied to. And then like you have to bring that baggage in, and that's a conversation. And then on top of that, you talk about sex and sexuality. You're saying that you have limited experience. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think necessarily limited experience means that, because they've only been with one person or one, handful of people by now with their stuff. Cause I don't know what they were doing once they got divorced. They might have been getting tossed up left and right, doing their thing. But that doesn't mean limited experience, because you can experiment with your partner. That doesn't mean anything. But if you have a guy who like, who don't even want to do the basics, you know, and making sure you all right, like he just want an hour rub down and he just jump on top of you for, you know, the lesser part of a minute and then he out. Like that's not, you're limited. Your experience is limited. You with somebody who don't really care about you, is not attracted to you. Your experience is going to be limited. And then that's another conversation that they're going to have. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to try? What have you thought about? That kind of thing. Getting them to know themselves. Like there's a possibility that she might not have, truly been fulfilled during these experiences, these exchanges, because he didn't take time to make it happen for her. And then especially if you grow up I don't want to get too vulgar, but if you grow up in a community and religion that doesn't really approve of you, like self-exploration, and you don't really know much about yourself, you don't know what you like, what you don't like, how you like it. And then you're coming in with a person who doesn't even care to try or find out or have a curiosity of what makes you tick or what makes you happy, then you'll never have those opportunities to be able to experience that. So that could be an unfortunate circumstance, but yeah, I have to take off. Oh, okay. She said that's 4DX, James. Saw Aquaman that way. Yeah, that shit is dope. She's talking about that when I was down in they had the full experience. So it's not just 3D. It's like, you got like if you're watching Aquaman, like when they dive in water, they doing like the surf or whatever, you might have like misty water coming through. It's crazy. It is crazy. Oh, is this no joke? Most people acquire herpes as children. Don't let anyone kiss your babies on the face or their heads. That baby's always putting in their mouths. Yeah. My sister worked in pediatric clinic. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. And they always say babies with herpes outbreak. Yeah. Or see babies with herpes outbreaks. Whoa. That's crazy. That's sad. That's sad. I mean, that's sad. That's sad. And it's not just sad because, let's be honest, like I said, it wasn't 2 years before she had a kid. That is not a receipt of her good time. That's a receipt of his good time. Uh yeah, but I'm gonna let you guys go. I gotta bounce. I'm actually running late. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. I'm going to do another live, and the next live I do, I will be 100% call-in show, so you guys be able to do your thing. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Oh, Jody Periscala. Let me see. Jody Periscala. How do I get to be a member with the $1.99 super chat? Easy peasy. If you go to any one of the videos in my thing, they have a little button that says join. You can hit that button. I only have one membership tier, and then you have access to all the membership stuff. So, and I do lives with the members, and what I want to do for the membership lives is that I will give the link or whatever, and I can call you guys up. We'll have, like, instead of it being like me and maybe one other person, I can run a panel, think of up to 10 people on that panel, so we can all like have a conversation with each other. It'd be kind of cool. So should be a good time. All right, but I want to schedule that members live again. I'm going to try to figure out a more equitable time for everybody, because I think Friday afternoon at noon doesn't work, or at least it hasn't. Maybe try this week, and we'll see how it goes from there. But thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm going to be back on, I don't know if it's tomorrow, but maybe Tuesday. I'll do it on Tuesday evening, and we'll have another live. It'll be all call in. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Listen to a brother get this off my chest. We're going to find a clever balance and be able to get everything. But appreciate you. We have a final countdown of Sister Wives starting. We're going to be doing that show, as well as Special Forces and Cody's little entrance into the military role play game of Special Forces. So we'll be talking that too. Want to give a huge shout out to Lizzie B and Brittany, as well as Carmel Cuties. I don't know if she's in here yet, but still going to give her a shout out. Thank you guys so much for the mega mods, as well as everyone who kicked in for a super chat. Appreciate you. Betty Aldridge in the house. Michelle Page. We have Raiders Ma. Then we have Jody Periscala and Unlimited Lipstick Janet. All right. Thank you guys so much. Let me give you all a little something. Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate you. Hopefully you had a great time for the live. Thank you so much for joining me. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality, and I'm out. Appreciate you guys. Have a